good evening, good morning, good afternoon, greetings and salutations. Perfect timing. So today we've got another live stream. Busy day on the channel today. Live streams and a pre-recorded interview. So Robin is with Jo De Pinto, who you are both at NFT Week in LA, and we are joined by the wonderful T38, who is in Arizona, and we've
also
got
known
Ray.
as Taylor Cyril. Cyril, how do you pronounce your last name, Taylor?
It's Cyril. It's like girl with an S.
All right, girl.
All right, girl.
Girl.
One of the Women of BSV, an honorary member. And we've got Ray, who is over in Ohio at the moment, and me in dark, wet UK at the moment. So welcome, and very nice to meet you, Jo. I know we've actually had some correspondence over emails for Take It NFT, which is one of your platforms, and you are Haste Arcade as well. So do you want to tell us what you've been doing, Robin?
Well, let's start with introductions, since everybody, I think we take it for granted sometimes because we all know each other, but let's go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves. Jo?
My name is one of the co-founders of Haste and Haste Arcade, NFT. Basically just trying to do cool stuff with blockchain, show the real utility of it instead of this speculative asset stuff that seems to have taken control of the mainstream narrative.
Sweet.
I did an introduction earlier, so I feel like I'm repeating myself, but my name is Robin Delisser. I'm part of the Women of BSV for pretty much since inception. My career has been 2 decades of tech and executive recruiting. My first company, we made over $1 million in profit, even though I was a single mom with 2 young toddlers in tow. Went on to help co-founders of Chewy. We sold for $3.5 billion. It was the largest acquisition in e-commerce history. I've worked for another unicorn. I've worked for large Fortune companies, and I've started companies, and I know a little bit about business. So that's my background. Ray?
I'm also part of Women of BSV, and then I work on a couple of projects. One's Real World Podcast, where people can set up their own content and be paid for the stuff that you do compared to, getting nothing on YouTube. I also am working on a project called Molly Match, which is like an NFT game, and we're getting really close to finishing that up. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. And you're a software developer, which I think I love seeing women in STEM, and specifically in development or security.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Love it. Diddy?
Okay, so well, I mean, I'm kind of physical theatre, TV, film, acting, bit of artist. An artist.
Video editing.
To be fair, editing, bits and pieces, and I kind of run the channel, i.e. the YouTube channel, for Women of BSV. So yeah, there you go. It's a quick introduction, and it's stupid o'clock in the morning in the UK where I am at the moment. So it's all good.
All right, how's the volume now?
Better, yes.
Okay. If that doesn't work, we'll go back to the computer audio.
Yeah, that's cool. So okay. T38, Taylor, what do you do? Come on, tell us. You're a bit of a celeb.
I wouldn't call me that. I love just participating in the community and helping wherever I can. Background is in technology and business. I work with a lot of private equity, and I'm always trying to find people to invest in, projects that I like. I don't know. I could probably talk all day about the stuff I like to do. So,
well, tell us a little bit about Built by Gamers, even though we're not going to focus on it, and just kind of got started on gaming a little bit. We won't focus on it, but
I always forget that people probably want to hear about that. So Built by Gamers is a esports organization that me and my brothers actually own. And so therefore it is going to be interested in BSV. And so we kind of have worked with Haste and I guess it's called Asset Layer now.
Yeah.
And the
which was DJs, I just learned.
Yep. So we love finding ways to integrate. Things have been pretty quiet right now because of a whole long story about a potential acquisition. And if you go check out Built by Gamers YouTube, you can see that we're diligently building an audience there. I think I go check right now, but it's approaching 2.2 million subscribers.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah. And most of us,
And
to be fair, the only reason I bring it up is most of us didn't meet you through the context of Built by Gamers and in the BSV ecosystem.
Yeah, I served as a strategic advisor for them at the CoinGeek conferences. You might remember Tyler Farnsworth. He's more of the chief marketing officer. He was really pushing a lot of it. I just was making sure that things got launched and pointed the right way. But since then, I've been focusing on a new project that I can talk about more later. But I'm really ultimately, the thing I'd want people to know is that I'm just focused on building community and building relationships with people in the community.
Okay, awesome. So this is a very wide open conversation tonight. It's not a curated talk. It was kind of thrown together so that we can take advantage of everybody at NFT Week LA and the fact that I'm physically here. T38 was supposed to be with us, but he's in Arizona where he's building the Citadel of the West.
Yep. I'm in the Citadel of the West warehouse.
Like really any kind of conversation, and certainly open it up. We also didn't market or advertise so long in advance, so we may not have a lot of live stream participation engagement, but certainly we can just have kind of a very open conversation. Joe and I, when Joe shows up at events, we geek out about like aliens and New World Order, and I mean literally like anything, everything blockchain and everything in between. So
cool. I say we do have there's a message. It just says to just say a quick hi to everyone, and especially to my cowboy T38.
Where's the hat? T38. I need the John
right,
Dutton.
hold on.
Cowboy.
Channel your inner John Dutton.
I'm also curious.
So what's happening? What's happening at the NFT week then in LA?
What's happening at NFT week, you guys?
Into the
It was a week of conferences and parties and events, and honestly, my greatest takeaway, I was telling Joe and Dan Wagner, Dan did join us earlier, was just more the people, like quality of the conversations and like talking about blockchain. It wasn't necessarily what was on stage or at the conference itself, personally.
I like that first one, Tyler.
These are way too small, but they're the ones that I have here. Yeah, they're way too small.
And NFT week, I mean, just living out here my whole life, and being to the East Coast multiple times in the last couple of years and seeing basically the blockchain ecosystem out there versus out here, it's night and day, at least in my opinion. And I don't know if things are happening first out there and then they trickle out this way, but for example, like myself and Dan, we live out here. We didn't even know NFT week was going on up until last week. And, you don't drive around hearing about it. People don't talk about it. It's not getting marketed. And I think there's, multiple reasons for that. But, I was asking some people earlier, it's like, what's actually being talked about? Is it still people trying to hawk JPEGs, or is there actually utility being discussed there? Because us, obviously, in the BSV space, it feels like that's all that we really harp on, for better or for worse, and it's interesting to me, when we met earlier for a meetup and we were getting in the elevator with these people and they're like, oh, what are you guys here for? We're like, oh, it's a Bitcoin meetup. And they're like, oh, we don't want to hear about that. It's just like, man, like people have been, I don't want to say misled, but it feels like
the whole market feels that way right now. There's a terrible connotation.
Right. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting being on this side of it versus taking trips to the East Coast and seeing how much more discussion and actual projects are going on out there.
But so on point, and one of the reasons why I actually kind of dropped everything to come out here to come out to LA and do Joe and take advantage of the fact that NFT week was going on is, one, we have a pretty big NFT week Miami presence, and then it's now pretty big in New York City as well. But Joe recently came to the Citadel in South Florida, and he was like, I think he was kind of, or what he said to me was like, wow, you guys actually talk about really interesting, like cutting edge stuff here, right? Like it's not just sitting around like at happy hour having cocktails or whatever. Yeah. And we talked about obviously a wide variety of things, and we got really deep into some subjects and kind of went down a rabbit hole. And at the end of the day, he's like, we'd love to do this in LA. And then this idea spawned, and I was like, and Diddy and Ruth and I and the leaders of Women of BSV had a conversation with Becky Legerio recently, and she'd said she'd wanted to do these meetups in London, right? And I thought, you know what would be really interesting and to hit the point that Joe just made is it's like, okay, he feels that way because he came to South Florida and he saw the culmination of what's transpired. Like, I was this lone voice in Florida for the longest time advocating BSV, begging people to come there. I was like, Craig, Jimmy, Calvin, like, just come to Miami. I will host a conference. I need help educating people. Then I go to London and I find Luke and Austin from Tonic Pal. They live 10 miles down the road from me. And I had no idea, right? I had to go all the way to London to find Tonic Pal, who lives 10 miles down the road from me. And it's only because Brendan Lee gave me his dinner ticket to Meta Night dinner, because he got invited to a VIP party with Craig, Calvin, and Jimmy. Right? It's like the funniest thing. And then when I went to Zurich, Kurt was on my plane, and I had been emailing and DMing everybody like, Brendan, are you going? No, I'm stuck in Australia. Ruth, are you going? No, I don't travel. Like, literally, who's going to Zurich, right? Like, I'm not going all the way there. I don't even know if I can get in the country, right, without my vaccine. But secondly, like, who's going to be there? So messaging everybody, and then it turns out like maybe 4 days before the event, I'm sitting in the restaurant where I live in Delray, and Kurt is posting pictures, and he's on the beach in Delray. Like, I'm like, what the? We're not even friends. Like, I can't believe you're in Florida and you didn't tell me you're coming. He's like, I don't even think I knew you lived here. So then they're on my plane. Luke from Tonic Pal and Kurt are on my plane to Zurich, right? We're on the same flight. And Kurt drops this ball that he wants to move to South Florida. He's looked at houses and he wanted to build an office there. Him and his boss, Tom, who lives in the Philippines, grew up in South Florida and has worked for Calvin for 15, 20 years. I don't even know, but back to the Bodog days. Right. So all these, like, it just kind of culminated that these people are here. And the reason I'm telling that story is that when Joe came and he said that, it kind of clicked. Like, what if we had some of the same people talking about these cutting edge, like the most cutting edge developments and like the real things that are happening? But we went to LA, or we went to London or New York City, or some of these, maybe even Dubai, I don't know, but some of the bigger markets that are really the blockchain hubs, and certainly where we have our BSV leaders and builders, entrepreneurs and developers. And we were able to really be that glue, so we could strengthen the conversation and we could carry like the same kind of topics that, like, which are usually really pretty cutting edge. Like, I always learn something from Kurt at these meetups. I always learn something from everybody, right? So what if we brought that to LA? What if we brought Kurt or Luke or Zach to LA once in a while, or to London, and we got to meet with Diddy or Ruth or Becky or, you know, now Kristen and all the people that are based in London. So I'm rambling at this point, but the point is there.
I think that's what Taylor's going for. I mean, like, Taylor, if you had to describe your mission for Citadel of the West, other than to show that East Coast folks how to really do it, what would you say?
Okay, well, before I answer that, let me rattle off some notes that I took while Robin was talking. One, don't call it the Citadel when you're talking about Florida Citadel, because it's not the Citadel.
There are multiple.
Okay. Well, that's like Ray saying the University of Ohio or the Ohio State. Sorry, Robin, when your stuff's a little delayed for me, so I was talking over you there. Sorry. So anyways, no more of this the Citadel stuff. Number two, Joe, I think this is a little off topic, but Joe, I think we need to start a petition that you have to get on Twitter and join Twitter Spaces sometimes.
And LinkedIn. Yes. You're on my band. Yep. Mm-hmm. You're on my bandwagon.
Oh, wow.
Had to get that out there.
If you can get all 8 people in BSV to sign that petition.
Shots fired.
Okay.
You're really hard to hear, Joe. You need to really, like...
Yeah, Joe, when you talk, get your face up there.
Can't hear you.
Say that again. You said only 8 people of BSV.
In BSV to sign that petition, I'm in.
All right, you get 8 signatures before the end of this show. Thank you. We got 4 right here.
In
1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got a question, actually, but carry on T38, and then we'll ask Joe about this. Well, we'll ask both of you this question.
Just a sec. I'm tweeting it right now.
We have to do this. There's already between email. Right.
F it, we're doing it live.
Seeing how many unopened emails you have, it's like, I already have, thousands of unopened emails. Now we got to pay attention to Twitter too. Yikes! This just sounds like
I'll text you when you need to pay attention.
Okay.
I'll get 8 likes, at least 8. Okay. The other thing, while we're totally off topic, I am going to come back to your question, Joe. But while we're totally off topic, I'm asking a back channel of Twitter back channel right now, questions to ask. And I don't know if you guys know Randy from there on the East Coast.
Of course,
Randy
I did
wanted me
the concert in Miami with them.
Okay, so Randy wanted me to ask. She didn't say who to ask, but she said ask how babies are made. Somebody, maybe Joe, you can field that.
I feel like you're the most
anyways.
qualified, considering you've populated more than I have by a multiple of infinity.
That's true.
Would making babies have anything to do with Randy's cocktail book?
Well, fun fact, it might have a lot to do with it. Maybe? Question mark. But so anyways, just getting some community involvement going. All right, back to your question about the Citadel of the West.
Yeah, what's the vision?
So let me give the genesis of it real quick. So at CES, what was it, Joe, when we were at CES?
That was beginning of 2022.
Last year.
Okay, so there's this
January.
moment where Joe and Dan get in from LA, and we're sitting in whatever was it, Aria, like sports book. We were all just sitting there, just chilling, and Kurt was there. It was like the four of us, like Kurt, maybe Zach was there. I don't remember. But point is, we were like, let's start a war. The East Coast Citadel versus the West Coast Citadel. Like just let's gin up some drama. Let's do this. So we kind of concocted this plan to, like, you know, if you've watched over the last few years, we kind of always are taking shots at each other. Just we concocted this thing of let's do it. And this is before there was any citadels at all.
Right.
And so it just kind of we kind of just kept upping the ante. And then in Dubai, it was concocted like that the Florida one was actually becoming a thing. And then so it's the intention that as Florida's building its thing, I was going to try and build one here in Arizona. Long story short, with my family situation, all this stuff, I pretty much had to put everything on hold. But now I'm coming out of all that, and the desire is, okay, let's have a competing force on the West Coast, or I call it Citadel of the West because I'm not on the West Coast and I don't like California. So let's just like everyone who's west of the Mississippi is in Citadel of the West, and let's kind of create a competing social force. So that's kind of the genesis of it. So right now, I don't know, Joe, how much you want me to go into it, but the idea is kind of like Robin was just alluding to, what she wants there to be kind of these social meetups and
glue.
Well,
yeah, just how do you create the social fabric? The idea is I want to do that in the West. Joe, I'll let you fill in the gaps of what you wanted me to say, because I could go into very much depth, but
what's interesting to me, and what I mean, I've been traveling to the East Coast basically every other month for about a week at a time, going and seeing, you know, the Citadel of the East. Pardon me. Just because, you know, they'll do cool things like the Florida Citadel. Right, but they'll have workshops, right? They had Jungle Bus that I actually went out there for. It was super cool to see that, Luke and them. But then, you know, this past week you had, you know, Zach giving his spiel on Magic Tap, and I thought that was awesome. I really wanted to be there for that as well. So, like, they're doing workshops, they're doing things where they're trying to educate people. And I think that's really cool. And like out here, you know, it feels to me like, number one, we don't have a community even. So like that would be a great starting point is, you know, when I joke with Dan, anytime me, Dan, and one other person in the room that knows about BSV are together, it's like, wow, this is the biggest, you know, conglomerate of BSV knowledgeable people on the Western Hemisphere right now. Like, here we are. There's just no sense of community out here, where at least on the East Coast, there is. So, yeah,
hey,
I mean,
Joe, real quick,
yes.
just so you know, I'm echoing like crazy back there. Sorry, Joe. Just so you know, if you were on Twitter, you would know that there is quite a community of us, like you feel at the Citadel in Florida. There's a virtual version of that on Twitter in spaces that get together often and have lots of fun. I'm just letting you know. You're sitting here searching for this thing.
So
it does exist in lots of forms that you turn a blind eye to. Just saying.
I do have access to Haste Twitter, so I will go and listen to spaces from time to time.
No,
I find them very, very. I don't tweet. I don't tweet. No, I can listen when need be. But yeah, I mean, look, the truth is, I probably should be. It seems like that's where the community is. But I think what you're doing is more so where I would want to direct my time. Is how can I help with that? Because I'm personally like a people person. I like meeting in person. I like talking, in person to people, getting their thoughts. And that's what I feel like, at least out here, we lack. Like I just said, when Dan and I are together, if there's one other person in the room that knows what BSV is, it's like, holy cow, who is this person? You're like a unicorn. Like, we didn't even know you exist, right? So yeah, I mean, that's why I'm excited about, you've told me a little bit deeper details on what you're going to be doing and kind of the mission behind that. I think it's really exciting. I am trying to move to the East Coast, so maybe I'll be like the middleman. But yeah.
So I've got sorry, the feedback bit. I've got a question from I think it's Erfram, and it says, is Enchain's new partnership with gaming company good for mainstream adoption, or doesn't it matter?
I take questions quite yet. I'm sorry. Let me interject. Desmond, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh,
Since you kind of popped into the background here.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Desmond. Virtual Interactive Innovations in Motion is the company I represent.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
No, we could hear some of it. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Desmond. I'm representing Virtual Interactive Innovations in Motion, which is our company. We're mainly focused on AR, and we're building a whole ecosystem out of Miami, and we've been doing pretty good with what we're doing and expanding. And now we're on the hardware side of things, so we have some specs that we're putting out. A few prototypes. You've tried it out, and we're.
Can't hear you, Robin.
Right. Yeah, like you said, it has a whole bunch of other components to it. It has a bundle that we're putting out. It's called Aware. So the whole bundle set costs about $1,300. Okay, so we have quite a few things. Like she said, we have the holographic keyboard. We also have a smart bank, yes, and a blockchain-enabled printer. As of now, we are raising capital right now. We're at 5 million. We're trying to get to 25 million. So we're in talks with Tusk Capital, Coinbase Ventures, and a few others. So we've just been trying to build. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I grew up in South Florida, right?
That the mic you have is obviously directional. You have to it's actually good when you talk straight into it.
It's a whole lot better now, though.
Yeah, I can hear you, Desmond, but I can also hear the keyboard typing.
All right, so here's the deal. I grew up as a tech recruiter in South Florida. In South Florida for 27 years. It was so people. So I lived through this era where they would bring companies like Google through, and they would say, "Yeah, it's a beautiful area. You don't have state income tax. You have tropical weather all year. You have all these amazing things. Of course, people in front of you. You don't have to do anything. So my husband was just not visible, right? So magically came along. Magically, it was the first company doing the most amazing stuff with AR, VR. They were calling it MR, mixed reality. Now they're calling it XR, right? Then I saw these, and they got the largest round by Andreessen Horowitz, one of the largest VC firms in Silicon Valley. Andreessen Horowitz, and they were just working like the most interesting stuff. And all this came out, and it was kind of a big. I don't want to say it was a big flop. But like, it didn't take off like I thought it would. And then recently, I saw my games product. It's the goggles. You can move things on the goggles like a mouse. You can use a holographic keyboard. This shit is so advanced. So advanced.
Hey,
and it's
Robin.
universal. It's using all the best parts of blockchain. So that's why I got excited about it. We were right in last time at our meetup, and who's based in South Florida, and that's one of the reasons why I came to meet some of the team here in LA this week. And yes,
okay, Robin.
Hey, Robin. I thought it might have been me, but everyone online saying your mic is bad.
When you are facing this way, we can hear you. When you face directly towards the camera, I can't hear you. So there must be like.
How's this?
Like,
That's great.
That was
Any better?
great. Yeah,
Now we
that's
can hear
great.
you.
Oh, that's-
So when you're talking,
Right.
you need to do that.
No, it's we're changing mics. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's perfect.
Is this
Yeah,
any
what
better?
Yeah.
No.
So
Yeah.
if you no,
You
that's
can't.
fine.
All
So
right.
that is fine. So if you need to talk like that though, like so every time you talk, Robin, you need to do that. Oh, you're not talking. Oh no, but now you're
She's
muted.
muted.
You've muted yourself. No, you've muted. Oh, sorry, try again.
Again.
Hey, the way you had it originally with the
Can you hear
handheld
now?
mic is great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The handheld mic worked as long as you were talking right into it.
Yeah, like, you have to hold it. Like,
I mean, I can hear Desmond
This is gonna be our
perfectly.
best at it right now, right, Joe? This is our best. Anyways, okay, really quick. I'll make that a really quick drink. Magic started in South
Go in the
Florida.
middle. Go in the
They were
middle.
one. They were one of the first companies. They were one of the first companies to really advance stuff with XR, like virtual reality, right, VR, augmented reality, AR. They eventually wound up calling it MR. And I thought this, and I even hosted a couple conferences, and Microsoft sponsored. We called it Hack a New UI, and New UI because they were calling it interactive UI at the time or whatever. Instead of GUI, you had interactive user interfaces, right? And I thought, okay, this is so freaking cool. Like this is, you no longer need a keyboard. You no longer need a mouse. You're no longer going to be tied to a physical device, right? We're going to have that minority shit report where you're like holographic keyboard in front of your face and a holographic monitor, and you can design the room or the fashion in your virtual reality right there. And they did a lot of that. They took one of the largest rounds from, actually the largest round, from one of the top VC firms in the world from Silicon Valley and Sand Hill Road, which is Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen was the co-founder of Netscape, along with Jim Clark, who actually lives in Palm Beach County right by us. So crazy that in South Florida, this little startup took the largest round by one of the biggest VC tech, from Silicon Valley ever, when we used to get dogged on for not being like a tech market. So when I met Desmond's partners, which is Ritvik and Lloyd, who came to one of our meetups and just kind of like started hanging out at the Citadel, and Joe got to meet him and play with the goggles. They have an entire system. It is hardware, right? The goggles, you can control the mouse through the goggles. They have a holographic keyboard, but in the back end of it, like really, there's this really super advanced metaverse that includes geospatial, like geofencing, mapping actual like cities. Right, and they are using all the best parts of blockchain technology, like zero knowledge proofs. And Lloyd is actually working with X-Man on zero knowledge proofs. I mean, they're literally utilizing some of the best features and utilities of blockchain in this one ecosystem. And they're like this scrappy little startup, and it probably blows Magic Leap out of the water. And I even said this to Roni, the founder of Magic Leap online, and he was like, "Okay, I'd be interested in seeing it." Like, it's like, what? It's crazy. But that's why we brought Desmond in tonight, and how I just introduced him.
I have a question for you, Desmond. Have they talked to you about BSV?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was catching it at the tail end, literally at the tail end. What you guys?
Hey, Desmond,
Yeah.
go onto your phone and go to handcash.fun.
Okay.
I got you.
Does anybody
So
have any
full
questions?
disclosure, that's like my affiliate, total me shilling my affiliate links. So you really don't have to do it, but it's more of a joke. But you should go check it.
Okay, you said me some BS www. Hand. Yeah. .fund.
Robin, you said X-Man. Who is X-Man?
Can't hear you, Robin.
You gotta put your face right in the middle.
This is so annoying. Xiaowei Liu, the creator of Script.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know we called him X-Man now. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I've called him X-Man forever. Yeah, he's amazing. He's probably one of the smartest developers in Bitcoin. I adore him.
Whoa.
It was a whoa if you can't hear him.
I mean,
So you guys have been
handcash.fun
super
is not
busy.
that good of a site, so I know that's not what he's looking at.
Wait. Is this an app?
Yeah.
Does it have an API?
Yeah, it's got beautiful APIs. It's got a
Yeah.
whole marketplace.
You can integrate it straight
like,
into
wow.
the back end of your application so that it becomes an identity provider and a payment processor all in one.
You have to scan the solution for what you need.
Because we have like facial recognition, you can be able to tip people money. So this kind of
By the way, we've been showing Ritmik and Lloyd.
Wait, I can't hear you, Robin, but I am curious. What have you guys been doing if this is the first moment that he's seen hand cash? and had
Negative
this
Ghost Rider.
realization?
What I found out since I've been in LA, not to throw these guys under the bus, but to totally throw these guys under the bus, Ritmik is Lloyd, who I call Tank because he looks like Tank from the Matrix, and he's supposed to be on this stream. I don't know where the hell he is. Tank totally gets it. He's been working with Jiawei Liu on zero knowledge proofs, and we talk about BSV all the time, and he totally gets it. And he's also the electrical engineer, he's the EE CTO, and he's EE. So he's actually designing a lot of this hardware, and he builds crazy cool shit. Like I can't even tell you, but like electric vehicles and drones, electric drones, and so we talk autonomous vehicles, autonomous drones. We talk about this stuff all the time, but this is the first in just the last few days that I've been in LA. I've met some of the other business friends like Desmond and their other. So they're on a different side of the house and maybe have not been exposed to BSV so much. But this is also why at our meetups we like to bring in a lot of non-BSVers that are just doing interesting, innovative stuff because these kind of
No, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm here to shill. You guys can be good friends. I'm here to shill.
It's not shilling, you're educating.
So the other guy sitting next to you, Joe, he actually owns a company that uses hand cash in a very intimate way, and he could walk you through all of this and tell you about their whole SDK. They've got, I mean, he's gonna blow your mind. If you went wow based on what you just saw, wait till you see what Joe has built. It will blow your mind.
It gives more functionality. What? This is insane.
I mean, just to shill hand cash a little bit. The company I have is called Haste Arcade, and they have an API that, you know how you sign in with like Google, Twitter, easily. Same concept. You can sign in with hand cash. It's seamless. You just click a button and like, boom, you're in. And for us, at least, trying to go after like normies, people who don't care about Bitcoin or whatever, if you can get them to download a hand cash wallet, which is still a hurdle, but after that, it's like you can sign into any other basically BSV application with that. So it just removes. Yes, simple integration, and it's really clean. They're very like user focused. Beautiful product, beautiful design. That's what we're all trying to do, right?
Do it in a cool way using the code.
Yep.
So
Joe, I'm going to be training in a moment.
Right. So Joe, just for people who don't know, because we do get people who don't know anything about BSV watch the channel, how many games are there at the moment in Haste? Like Haste, just explain exactly what Haste is for people who don't know what Haste is.
Yeah,
sure.
All right.
Yeah, the basic explanation I'll usually give is Haste has a couple products, but the one that we're probably most well known for is called Haste Arcade. And that's the original concept of, like myself, Dan, originally, we were big Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer cash fans. And, early 2021, the BTC Bitcoin is like peaking at $50,000 or $60,000, yet you can't really do anything with it. We're like, where's the utility in this? We've been paying attention to this space for years, and it just seems like it's getting further and further away from actually being something that would be useful on a day-to-day basis in terms of peer-to-peer cash. So the original application that we built was just this little game. Dan programmed it over the course of a weekend. And the idea is this, right? You go to a classic arcade, put a quarter in a Pac-Man machine, and if you get on the leaderboard, you can leave like 3 initials. That's it. Well, with actual peer-to-peer cash, with the original protocol of Bitcoin, you can split up a quarter or $1 or however much money into, thousands of micropayments. So basically in our arcade, you spend that quarter, you get on the leaderboard, and these leaderboards, like I just said, 100 people, 1,000 people deep. Anyone that spends 25 cents after you or 10 cents or 1 cent, right, you're going to get a fraction of that amount. So, it might be a 1/100th of a cent, But with a couple thousand people playing multiple times a day, it actually adds up to a couple dollars, $20, $100. We have a couple people who have made dollars. Yeah.
I'll just show on my screen. Oh, it's echoing like crazy. These are just like all my Haste Arcade stuff.
Right.
I just get bombarded with it all day long.
And that's it. It's that concept of you make a leaderboard from spending a very minuscule amount of money, and you earn very, very small payments, but on a large scale. So it's like over the course of a day, you're actually raking in, hundreds of micro payments that add up to real money. And we think you can apply that concept to basically anything that's competitive, whether it's gaming, education, loyalty programs, whatever. So it was just an idea where it was like, hey, we want to demonstrate some of the utility of what the blockchain is capable of in its original protocol. And, it's turned into Haste Arcade. So Diddy, to answer your question further, there's 15 games now in the arcade. 8 of them have been developed by us. 7 have been developed by outside third-party game developers. We do have a software developer kit that allows, if you're an indie game dev, you can basically build a game. If you like this leaderboard payout, strategy that we have, you can implement and integrate that into your game fairly seamlessly. And, as a game developer, that's actually helping you monetize from day one. Whereas most independent game developers, they need to build up a large user base so that they can run ads before being able to monetize. Whereas with our games, you're monetized from the very first gameplay. So kind of a short-ish answer to your question, Diddy, but that's Haste Arcade. That's, our main value proposition and what we're working on for the most part.
And I have played I've got feedback too. I have played some games on Haste Arcade. They are pretty damn cool and very addictive, I must say. So if people want to find you, then they just it's hastearcade.com, yeah?
HasteArcade.com. We're on Twitter at Haste Arcade. Diddy, I've definitely seen your name on some leaderboards. So yep, I'm familiar with that.
I'm very random. And you've got Take It NFT. Do you want to explain quickly what Take It NFT is? And then we can go over to Lloyd and find out who Lloyd is and what Lloyd does. Is that all right? Cool.
Sure. Yeah. So Take It is the way that I think about it is Haste is the company that was started. The arcade was our first product. We're going to continue to expand on that product, add more games to the arcade. Take It is an NFT auction platform. And, this was, again, just a side project that turned into something pretty cool, where the idea was, because of the UTXO model of Bitcoin, you can basically create this auction system where for every single bid, you're either going to, get the NFT that you want, or you're going to make a profit on your bid. And here's how it works. So let's say I drop an NFT collection. And right now, we're just talking about JPEGs, but in the future, this could be anything. Anything could really be an NFT. But let's just say, I drop a collection of 10 different JPEGs and I price them at $10 a piece. So I might be the first person that sees, number 1, and I take it. I'm the first one to take it. Well, now the timer has started. So there's 48 hours for this particular auction. If Robin, well, let me backtrack. So I took it for $10, 0.3 BSV. If Robin comes, she can take it from me. I am going to get my $10 back, but every time it's taken after me, the price increases by an automatic 30%. So Robin's paying now, what would that be? $11? Would that be it? Yeah. Taylor, you're really good at math. Like, what's 10% or 30% of $10? It's $3. So that'd be $13. Sorry. So I took it for $10. Price increased 30%. Robin comes and takes it from me for $13. I get my $10 back plus a 6% profit on what I had initially paid. So I'm actually making a profit on my bid. And really, I can't lose. If I like the NFT, I'm going to go and take it back from her. Now she just made a 6% profit on her bid, but I'm the one that now holds the NFT. So we call it a win-win auction platform, because if you're actually interested in the NFT that you're bidding on, you're either guaranteed to get that NFT or you're guaranteed to make a profit on what you're bidding on it. So that's how Take It works.
And if you go and actually just use it, it makes a lot of sense. Explaining it is pretty hard, but if you just go and start using it, then it's pretty easy to figure out, and it's pretty innovative. innovative.
If anybody does want to go to Take It NFT, I've got some steampunk dogs over there. And if you do get a steampunk dog, which is one of mine, you'll get a bonus as well. But I need your email address. But thank you so much, Joe, because that's an awesome explanation as well. Because it's, when you look at it, it's not the easiest thing to think, but literally it's an auction. And if you win it, somebody else can win it off you. You get their money, and the profit keeps going up and up and up. But we're joined by other people, and I want to make sure that we fit everybody in, if this is all right. So, Lloyd,
as I just put on a different screen so he could have his better audio, and hopefully we don't have feedback here.
Well, I said we can go over to Lloyd first.
Yes, thank you.
So, hello, Lloyd. Welcome.
Hello. Hi. Yes. Hey there.
Who are you? Tell us what you do, who you are, and what you do.
Yes. Hi, I'm Lloyd. I'm an electrical computer engineer, and partnered with Des with Vim, and I'm the technical lead slash hacker slash guru. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is that your music? Somebody has music in the background.
Oh, that's the music here. I'm sorry. Is it too loud? I'll move around if it's too loud. Is it okay? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, we can hear the music clearer than we can hear you. It seems to penetrate right through your mic.
Let me move around. So it's
not that bad.
It's not too bad. Okay. Yeah. I'll see if I can find a better spot.
Where are you?
I'm at the gym. I was at the gym earlier. So
that's good.
I'm a bit alive, actually.
You got the Tesla?
Is that better?
Yeah. Will you guys say what your platform or website's called?
How about that?
I couldn't pick it the first time. I want to look it up while we're talking.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. Looks like a nice gym.
All
right, we're good.
Is that better now?
Yeah.
Way better.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. So Desmond and I have been working on Vim along with Jay. Jay and Des were working on it before Des brought me on board. I don't know, what was that, Des? You came to New York. When was that? That was back in 2017.
Yeah. That was 2017.
Yeah.
We started working on it. Yeah. That was 2017.
Yeah. So we met up and at first, we wanted to do a virtual platform. The VR was kind of the leading.
You know what's crazy?
It
sounds crazy, but before the metaverse was ever a thing, we were really actually working
right.
on that.
We whiteboarded the whole metaverse that exists now, right?
And I even won a pitch competition without an actual product.
Right. So fast forward. And we have these AR glasses that I've been working with Google with. I had been working with Google as Google Glass for the longest, and so this was great that we were able to build these AR glasses. And at the same time, I had started working in New York with the Bitcoiners out there. I met Shaway. X-Men as Robin.
Wait, by Bitcoiners you mean BSV Bitcoiners? The real.
Well, okay, I'll get to that. All right, before we go down that whole thing, right? Okay, let me just explain. Okay, Bitcoin. I've been working with Bitcoin for a long time, back in 2012 or something like that. I was mining Bitcoin, so been working with it forever. Fast forward to 2019, right before. Actually, this was 2019 when all the COVID stuff happened. Before the COVID stuff happened, I met Shaway, and he blew me away with his S script. I had always been a fan of Bitcoin script, but knowing that only 10 people in the world will probably ever use it to its full potential. And then, he comes along, he's like, yeah, I'm working on this, this high level language. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is what we need. And so I started diving in a little bit more on that front. And I've always been, I'm an engineer. So I build things. I build municipal government software, enterprise software at scale. So scalability is my thing. And when it comes down to it, if you want to do decentralized or distributed electronic cash, you need to do it at scale at a low cost. There's no way you can do it where it's going to cost 2 pennies per transaction or 5 cents per transaction. right? Especially if you want to build a metaverse, a virtual world where people are, sending Roblox or whatever it is the kids are doing these days, right? So that's what really, got me really down the rabbit hole, so to speak, on the Bitcoin train, right? So now you got Bitcoin.
Wait. But like,
Yeah.
remember, like during the pandemic, right? Because I was working on a whole
Yes.
other project. I had just got on furlough. I'm a petroleum engineer by trade, by the way, and with an MIS background. So I got on furlough from Chevron, and we was just working on our projects. And while we were even working on Vim, we were trying to figure out what's the best way to actually, break through even better. So it was like, then we made the switch to AR, and then we were talking about sending money through AR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was it was the API that we talked about? Was it MoneyPay.com?
Money Button.
Money Button. That was it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember that was a distinct, because you were
so that's
raving about it back then.
Right.
Because I met Bitcoin through
Right. And so so I met Ryan at the same time I met Shawway. And I love Ryan to death. He's genius, brilliant. Same with Shawway, right?
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm meeting these folks and I'm like, okay, this is where all the smart people are in finance, decentralized finance, right? They call it. And then of course Craig is, just brains, right? So I'm surrounded by all these, intelligent people, and I'm of the mindset it's just plumbing, like Craig likes to say. Like, right. I shouldn't have to explain it to you that this is Bitcoin working in the background, right? It should just work, right? And so when we're building out our products, our aware products, you can be on whatever, you can do whatever you want software wise, whatever NFT thing, right? We want to support all of that. But in the background, it's running, the plumbing's running, right? And you don't need to know what it is. And so, I had been meaning to introduce Handcash. My bad, Joe, to Dez. He's just all over the world right now. Handcash is the truth. Handcash is the truth. I know.
Never told anybody about this.
You come to Miami.
Thank God I came to LA. This shit would not have happened.
It's hard to catch Dez these days. He's trying to raise money for us and doing all the hard work and stuff. But yeah, so Handcash, obviously, that's the truth. Just it's a whole ecosystem that's coming up. The guys out here, I love them to death. Kurt and all the guys at the Florida Citadel. We're working
Luke,
on some things.
Zach.
Luke, yeah. Zach, yeah, everybody. We're all working together. It's such a great community of people that are working together to build real things. Despite all the negative energy that's come towards Bitcoin over the years, this has been a good time for people to really understand the technology for what it's worth, right? And so our goal with our hardware is to be able to utilize these technologies in the background and allow people to just build whatever they want. You can build a zero knowledge. We have a zero knowledge mixed reality poker game that we built, right? We got zero knowledge, phone calling, video calling, you name it. And yesterday, a guy, he's like, I want to put a video camera on my gun, and then have it on my smart glass. And so I was like, yeah, we can do that. We'll build that, right? So, a lot of things are possible now with the plumbing, right, that we have at our fingertips now, thanks to the technology that's there. So I'm gonna stop talking now.
Wait, no, Tank, before
I have
you
a question.
Yes.
Wait, really quick. T38, I want to point this out because T38 gave a shit that Jasmine didn't know Handcash and some of the BSV stuff. So Tank, you and I spent a lot of time together. You came to one of my meetups, one of those meetups that we've been doing in South Florida. And then you started hanging out at the Citadel and got to know the crew and whatever. But I mean, we've had pretty in-depth conversations about what your system, Aware by Veeam, them, however you pronounce it, is using like zero knowledge proofs. And what's the other one? The like identity things, geofencing. Like it's using some of like the coolest parts of blockchain and metaverse that I think is definitely like the future. So I don't know if you want to delve into that really quickly. I know you kind of had a lot of introduction, but I think that that's probably going to be interesting to the audience.
Yes. Yes. So our foundational sort of software stack utilizes zero knowledge. We want, you know, privacy is in order for Bitcoin to be considered electronic cash. I think zero knowledge is key to that. Right? You need to be able to give somebody $1 and not be able to, you know, there should be a inherent like privacy built into transactions. And
so we dug into this a lot, the privacy versus anonymity and identity. I think that's a big thing that's wildly misunderstood in Bitcoin, especially in BSV. So how are you guys tackling that? We lost him. He's frozen.
No.
Tank.
He's coming back.
my computer died. Sorry about that.
There he is. There he is. Okay.
Yeah.
So how are you guys tackling anonymity versus privacy and digital identity?
Yes. So the thing, the core component of this is identity, right? We all have identity that, you know, right now, we associate our identity with, let's say, our identity card or passport or whatever the case may be. In this case, when you make let's say a transaction, let's say I want to buy a cannabis from I have a cannabis shop, right? So I want to buy cannabis, right? So I need to attest that I am over 18 and I follow all the rules of the state or whatever. And that can be associated with a token that's written on chain, right? And so the information about me doesn't necessarily need to be on chain, just the attestation of that information, right? And so that's kind of been our leading sort of baseline layer, right, if you will. Identity, right, is key behind of everything, because we want to play within the rules, right? We don't want to build things that break rules outright. Okay, if you want to break the rules, you can break the rules, but we don't want to build a system that is inherently built on a broken rule, let's say, right? And thankfully, Bitcoin is already sort of built to respect the rules of the land, right? And that's our leading sort of mantra or thought frame when building out these type of systems. If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. All right. But yeah, I'm trying to write more about this, right? In Medium posts and things like that, about distributed identity, and the tools that exist currently for these type of things aren't fully fleshed out, but they're getting there, and I'm building some of those tools, and yeah, it's exciting. This is the frontier of the internet. We're at a big turning point. Everybody says Web3, right? But in reality, if you're not doing any type of virtual 3D thing with Web3, that's the number 3 comes from, right? It's the 3-dimensional. It's like you need to be doing something spatial. The spatial web is a key component to Web3.
Dave Thompson was here. He just left.
Yeah. And so everybody's claiming Web3, but we're really going to have a real Web3 platform, spatial web browser. I'm building a spatial web browser that'll be, you'll be able to run actual spatial web things, and it'll be Web3 and blockchain enabled. I use blockchain enabled, and that's the code word for BSV, right? That's what we do. That's our way of saying BSV without saying BSV, let's say.
Fair enough.
Okay, can I ask my question now?
Yeah, sorry.
Lloyd. I'm waiting for him to come back.
Yes,
Don't
I'm
say
here.
you have to go right now. Okay.
No. I'm good.
How can we be friends? Because I like you.
Hey, we already friends, baby.
His ass defeated.
He's East Coast, bro.
You don't even know it.
What's your social hand?
So where can I find you on the socials? And then I'll
Guru
make sure
Lloyd.
that
On Twitter, he's Guru Lloyd.
Yeah, Guru Lloyd. Is a long story behind that name, but yeah, that's me.
okay, Guru Lloyd, cool. And
These are the
then
people you meet if you came
when
to
I
Florida, T38.
what?
These are the people you'd meet if you came to Florida.
Well, yeah. If someone would invite me. No, just joking.
Oh,
So
please.
I'll come.
Y'all all been invited.
I'll come to the Citadel of Florida at some point, and we'll hang. But I needed to know: are you on LinkedIn? Can I hit you on there?
Yeah. You can find me. I'll text you my name so you can find
I
me
got
there.
your name off of your white paper, so
Okay, cool.
Oh,
find
look
you.
at somebody working in the background.
Yeah.
What?
So
Skirt.
I'm just curious, just as a outside observer. In the past, nobody in the back channel told me not to say this. So I'm gonna say it. Are you familiar with the work of Robert Rice and all his XR stuff?
Omniscape, also Pantera.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. Yeah, Omniscape. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, like, if what your thoughts on that are, just because I know it's in the same area, but it's not that interesting of a question, so you can talk about something else. But that's just a thought I had.
No, it's interesting. They're doing some cool shit too. It's definitely interesting.
Well, right. So right now, I'm building what I would consider like the Chrome browser of spatial browsers, right? So I'm going down this rabbit hole of all the spatial tools and all the spatial projects that exist out there. You know, NASA's got a bunch. Google, obviously. You know, there's and Robert. You know, all these different tools that exist in the spatial realm. When you think about spatial browsing, right? I'm outside, right? So I'm looking around, you know, I may see a sign, I may see a tree, right? And for example, Robin and I are working on a project called Save Miami, and we want to plant 1 million trees, right? For example. And so
save our local marine life, our local reefs in the marine life.
Yeah. So I did. So being in the real world, right, is that the real world is now we're now at a point where the hardware, Moore's law, if you know anything about, you know, in engineering and computers, right, everything's shrinking down to a point where we can run a computer in our glasses or in a monocle or whatever the case may be. So we have these capabilities to extend the real world, which is, you know, the XR, you know, extended reality, where, you know, a tree becomes a compute. It's a compute thing, a pole, a seat, you know, lights, everything, right, becomes compute. So attaching data, which is, you know, a tree is data, right? Everything's data, and we you know, if you believe that we're living in a simulation, then this is we're just getting to that. We're getting to that point where we're rediscovering our reality, right? Our simulation that we're actually in, and so I'm curious about all the projects and, you know, all the protocols and all the things that are in the spatial space that are out there. So more and more people, because right now everything we do it through Chrome or we do it through Bing or whatever Edge, in the 2-dimensional, and we say it's Web3. You know, we you know, people say, oh, I'm sending you money. Now that, you know, I can do that, that's Web3. Well, reality is you can send money on Web2, you know, so it's not really Web3. But when you're able to interact with a tree in the real world and gather data from that tree just by looking at it or just by pointing your phone or whatever at it, then now we're really in the Web3 space. So anyway, that's a long answer, but yeah.
So just hashtag the future.
Hashtag the future, baby. There we go. Yeah. I hope all of this
Right
makes
on.
sense because this is all I think about all day. I hope people are understanding what I'm talking about because I you know how you get you let it out and then you hope
You're in
that
your zone. We know.
right.
I think people who would be in BSV or watching this are the type of people that have already been preconditioned to listen to that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So,
We have a lot of these kind of conversations.
All 8 of us.
So people are asking what your Twitter is,
What?
Lloyd.
Have you guys seen my clothesline move?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
So
Have you
people
seen
are
my
asking
clothesline?
sorry. What's your
He
Twitter?
said all 8 people in BSV, Lloyd.
No. I mean, did he? What I was?
Oh,
I
sorry.
heard that.
People in the chat, in the comments box on YouTube are asking what your Twitter is. I know you said it earlier, but I didn't write it down. What's your Twitter?
Oh yes, it's GURULLOYD. That's the Twitter.
Guru Lloyd.
Yes.
Guru what?
and his name on there comes up like Korean letters. So and then
Yeah,
a
that's
T.
my name in Korean. I got my Korean name when I lived in Korea, so that's my Korean name, Lloyd.
And where are you from, Lloyd?
Guru Lloyd. Thank you, T.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Lloyd?
I'm living in South Florida, but I'm from Texas. Texas in the house. Shout out Texas. And I just moved down from Philadelphia, and so that's us also home as well. I miss Joe. Joe was supposed to come to my Metaverse Lounge.
Right.
We missed up, but next time you're up in Jersey, you got to come through. We got some cool stuff now in the Metaverse Lounge.
Well,
Now that Dez is back, does he have some socials that we can jump on?
Yeah, for sure. Follow me on Instagram at Des1911. Shout out to all the noobs, Cap Alpha Psi 1911. But and also on LinkedIn, Desmond Ipe. And my Twitter is DezzyFly. DEZZYFLY. But follow me on Instagram.
Put it in the private chat so Diddy can add it.
Okay. Gotcha, guys.
Yep.
And then also
I
follow
can
our
find
company
you
Instagram at vim.tech. VIIM.TECH. Oh,
Yeah, and that's also
tell
our
me the
website.
Twitter again. Hit me your Twitter again.
DEZZYFLY. Yeah, I'm more active on Instagram though. So
yeah, I'm not.
Diddy's adding in the comments, you guys. Anybody who's listening and wants to follow, she's adding the handles in the comments. So make sure you look there.
Cool.
We've got somebody else here as well, so it's going to be a very crowded screen. So hi to the new guy, tech founder and VC investor, Durand.
So let me introduce you to Durand. We recently just linked up here. And,
our show just got hijacked. What the hell?
No, but we have he's a Clubhouse superstar. We're well known in the tech space. He's also an investor.
Hey, Des, have you onboarded him to Handcash yet?
Oh, he's gonna be blown. Oh man. So while we're doing our raise, right now we're at $5 million. Durand, allocated his funds to join on the raise. So he's a great guy and he's working on great projects. I just wanted him to chime in here. Yeah, I need to send you that link. Durand, you're gonna be blown away. Oh yeah, just a little background for everybody. I'm telling you, man, like this guy is he's like a super brainiac, super genius, man. But yeah.
How do am I audible to all? Can you guys?
Yeah,
hear me?
and you've got a sweet hat and a cool background there.
I'm inside of my wine cellar. I was just calling Dad to invite him here actually. And he's like, hey, jump on the side of the call. I was like, right now?
I'm coming to pick up that check.
I'm coming to pick up wine. Let's go.
I can't flip the camera. I don't think I would show you guys. This is a new type of room. I've never seen a StreamYard. But yeah, so we're expanding here inside the wine cellar. So I had to come here and do some unfortunately non-fun stuff. Yep. So
introduce yourself. Who are you? Introduce yourself to our audience here.
Well, I'm human. I'm a human being first. Yeah.
No, he's not.
I'm not the job or the references I'm about to communicate to you guys. So let me just clear that. So I'm Durand Davis. I'm a 36-year-old tech founder, venture capitalist. I'm a father of 7, believe it or not, 5 teenagers. They really like get on my nerves because they're driving cars and shit now.
T38, he beat you. You got 5, he's got 7. What?
Yeah.
Y'all are busy.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Detroit. I've been residing here in Los Angeles for 6 years now. I was the youngest VC in Detroit at the age of 19. So I was doing a lot of angel investing, helping startups. I helped them raise over $100 million for their companies. And most recently, I launched a VC firm with my wife, M&D Ventures. The M is for Maya, the D is for Duran. And we invest from hatch stage, that's before early stage, so ideas on a napkin. If we believe in the founder because we're operators as well, we are willing to write a small check all the way down to post-IPO, because even after IPO, because we're investing in the stock market as well, we're interested in making investments even after a company goes public. On the tech side of things, I run a company called Lab Labs. We recently launched our first to market app in alpha to 15,000 users. It's called the Yummy app. We have over 750,000 users on a waiting list. I don't know how we're going to work that out going towards the beta launch, but we're planning to launch the beta at the end of April, and we're super excited about that. Yeah, so I'm always looking for founders to invest in. I sit on a lot of boards. I sit on a lot of panels in Zoom. Over the last month, I talked to 1,500 founders, made investments in about 35 of them. And yeah, I'm looking for the next deal. Thanks, guys.
So how do we connect with you on LinkedIn or Twitter, or what's the way?
Yeah, so my LinkedIn is simple. It's durandavis.com. My first name, Davis, my last name.com.
Is it how it's spelt on the screen? D-U-R-A-N-D?
Yeah, independent of the accent mark. Yeah, just DURANDDAVIS.com. Durandavis.com. That's my LinkedIn.
Davis.
Duran, let me ask you this as a blockchain, startup founder, what metrics are you looking at? Because I've talked to other founders, and I mean, it seems like on some particular blockchains, it's really easy to raise capital. On others, it's really difficult. Like you in particular, if you had to give me like 3 key metrics, are you looking at revenue right now? Are you looking at the founding team? Or are you looking at like the vision? Like what would you say the most important thing right now for a founder is?
That's a really good. Oh, there's some feedback. Okay, there's a really good question. Is it Joe? Because typically I'll look at the market before I look at the team, because Mark Andreessen said something interesting. In a great market, a mediocre team, a great market, the market often wins. And a great team, a bad market, the market often wins. So when I'm making my investments in a traditional sense, if the team is mediocre, because I come from a community where you maybe you're not that good in basketball, but you can learn. So I'm interested in investing in teams, even if they're not that sophisticated. However, to the contrary, in the blockchain, it's the opposite. I want to know that these individuals have the chops, because you're going to lose so much money before the industry actually becomes stable. So I would really prefer for there to be true blockchain engineers, not the ones that are actually dealing with templates, because I'm a software engineer myself, the ones that actually know how to code. That's one, and then the vision as well. Now, between those two, I wager more on the vision, because even if you're a mediocre engineer in the blockchain, if you have a vision that's going to actually bring some stability to the industry, then I'm big on that. Because even the big guys like Meta, they changed their whole name to it. They have no idea what's going to actually happen with the metaverse. Yep. Then there's the metaverse, the crypto, blockchain, those conversations are being tied into one. It's 3 separate elements, especially given the blockchain. The blockchain doesn't necessarily need crypto. The metaverse doesn't have to necessarily be built in conjunction to crypto. It can be built in conjunction to crypto tokens or some different type of virtual currency. So overall, to shorten my answer, more so the vision, but secondary the team for sure. I don't care about the revenues. You can have not even turned on revenues or not even have a revenue model. And that, but that's speaking from myself as an operator, not so much as an investor. So I can look at it and say, all right, guys, maybe you get revenues in 3 or 4 years, but your vision looks like the one that's more reflective of what I believe the actual blockchain, the metaverse is going to be. So preferably that provided some color to your question.
Awesome answer. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Everyone's froze.
Well, no one wants to say anything because everything you said was so exciting. Who's going to be the one that says something lame next?
Yeah, very exciting.
I thought it was the Desi Banks when the comedy when his grandmother said, "Let's go to church," and then he fake froze. And then he started. Yeah.
I was going to add.
I've got a question. Have you ever thought about funding a film? because I know somebody that wants to make a film about
Jake.
but nobody will fund him because the other people who are funders are all into the coins that we do not speak about.
You know what?
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, so I invested in a production company, but this guy I've been knowing for 20 years. We recently did a documentary. It's called the Lab Labs movie. It's going to be launching in August. That's the name of my tech company. It's 2 hours, 40 minutes. It's really long because it's a combination between a movie / investor presentation. We wanted to make in comedy as well. So I funded his company, but that was more so based on some form of, this is my friend. I want to ensure that he gets great equipment. So I'll say I'll fund a director and an executive producer, not necessarily the company, because if this is the person that actually have the chops, similar to the question that Joe asked me, it's less of funding their business, more so of, I want to see you actually have what you need, because you're definitely going to win an Oscar or some Golden Globe award. And I just want to be a part of helping you get there, not necessarily on a return, because I come from the music business. Both of those, music and films, it's a really nasty business. I love it. I love the nastiness of it, but it's a really nasty business. So I'll fund the person more so the actual company or the project, if that resonates.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah, that's really good. So do you know E. Smitty then?
I beg your pardon?
Do you know E. Smitty?
I barely remember my 7 children's names. So I'm not really good. I'm not really.
He's a musician. He's in the hip hop world. He's signed with Sony and stuff, but he's like a business manager, business development manager or something.
I think so. That's one of them.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I need to get your details then. Can you write your details in the private chat, because I think I spelled it wrong. It's Durand, isn't
You forgot a D. You got to throw a D at the end.
It's an extra D. So let's add Des.
So tell me, what's the group here? This I've never seen this functionality.
So I'm Didi. I'm over in the UK. Ray is a beautiful developer who's developing a game called Molly Match, which is an NFT game about cats, and it's fantastic. T38 is built for gamers? Sorry, T38. It's
built by gamers.
Built by gamers. Lloyd is an engineer who's got a phenomenal website. Oh, you already know each other. And then Robin is this powerhouse of a lady who knows everybody and anybody within the whole sphere of the US.
And that's on my claim to fame.
Has got Haste Arcade, an NFT platform as well. So games, business development, games, artist,
all blockchain
ish, music ish, yeah.
All blockchain,
so
all
BSVers. We all appreciate Satoshi, and we all see the vision, and we all love BSV, and we want to do our best in helping people understand it and use it and promote it because we believe in it.
So Joe, tell me, are you guys doing some type of incubator? Are you all looking for funding? I'm just attempting to understand the nature of the question is connected to something.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I'm in the space, and we're in that, I don't want to call it a predicament, but we're in that stage right now where it's like, okay, we have traction, we have revenue. I think we have a great team and a great vision.
Great product.
Yet it's the funding aspect is difficult. And, a year or so ago, it was easy to get money. Now it's not. And most of the investors we're talking to, right, they want to see revenue first, and they're not understanding the whole blockchain integration and like what we're actually striving for. Like I don't see, and just to give you a little bit of background, I already described what this was to most people, but we have an arcade. It's called Haste Arcade. The basic concept, and this is only something you can do on, BSV really, but you put a quarter in a Pac-Man machine, you get on the leaderboard traditionally, you get to leave like your initials, right? Like I remember going to arcades and doing that as a kid. Well, we were BSV fanatics, myself and co-founder Dan. Basically, when BTC peaked at like 50 or 60,000 bucks 2 years ago, we were just like, man, like why aren't people understanding? There's so much more to the utility of this. So we built this little game where now if you go and you spend that 25 cents on that Pac-Man machine, if you get on the leaderboard, anybody that plays after you, you're going to get a fraction of their 25 cents. So these leaderboards, because of BSV, because of the notion of the original protocol of Bitcoin, and what you can do with micropayments, right? You can split that quarter up into 100 payments, 1,000 payments. So we have leaderboards that are 100 people deep, basically spending 25 cents, getting on a leaderboard, and now making, hundreds of micropayments throughout the day. So like me, for example, and T38 showed his phone earlier. It's like, I'll get a couple hundred, fractions of a cent throughout the day. But on a given day, that's $2 or $3, where it costs me, 10 cents to play that game. So basically, we've built out this arcade. We have an SDK so that third-party game developers can come and they can actually, use our SDK, implement this leaderboard payout structure into their games. And what that really does is for the hyper-casual game developer, they're really, the only way that they're monetizing right now is by trying to build up a huge user base and then serving ads, which nobody likes. Whereas with us, they're monetized from that very first gameplay through the form of micropayments. So, with what we're doing, we go and we explain these ideas to investors, and, most of them think like, yeah, that's really cool. Like, what are your numbers like? And it's like, well, we are in this fairly small ecosystem, and we've done a couple $100,000 in revenue over the course of a year. I think it's fine, but it's nothing that's going to like blow your mind right now. Whereas, if you look at this at scale, and if you actually got a game involved like a Call of Duty, where there's 5 million people playing every night online, and you have a headshot leaderboard, now all of a sudden, you're spending a penny or 10 cents, and there's real money moving back and forth. But the bigger picture would be like this concept of leaderboard payouts. What else could you apply that to? And I always go to like the first thing that comes to mind is like education, loyalty programs. But basically, if I'm a kid in school and I'm taking a test, my incentive is to get a good grade so I can get into a good high school, so I can get into a good college, so I can get a good job. That is such a far trajectory down the line. Whereas like if I do well on this test, I'm going to earn school tokens like that day that I can then spend in the cafeteria and get a free lunch. Like you can apply this concept to basically anything competitive. And it's only because of these micropayments. And that's really what the whole purpose of what we built was to demonstrate. And so, yeah, like that's where we're at right now. Go ahead.
Well, really big cricket. Is that my phone?
No, it's Robin and Joe. They've got their speaker that blasts until it catches up. So you're good.
Well, so what is the actual, Joe, what is the economic, explain to me the unit economics. So the payment itself, is the entire economy built on crypto or crypto tokens?
Yeah, so we're using Bitcoin SV. That right now is like if you're playing the game, you're spending Bitcoin SV to play that game. And it's because if I have a Bitcoin SV transaction, you can break that payment into hundreds of outputs from that one transaction. And it's all real time. It's all instant. We don't actually even touch, the majority of these outputs. So it's strictly.
And let me throw in one thing there, that this isn't like a token where the point of this is to accumulate the token because it's going to go up in value. It's
Right.
just facilitating the back end microtransactions. So it's really not about pumping a token.
Electronic cash.
I extrapolated that when you were speaking. So does someone have to, I would imagine someone has to connect one of their wallets to the platform.
So yeah, what Dez just got put on to hand cash about 25 minutes ago. That's the wallet that we use currently.
It was wild.
So right now, go ahead.
So how do you guys, and these questions are more indicative of me thinking of probably some of the pushback you guys have been getting from the VC world, not my interest as a builder, because as a builder, I get it. I don't really have a lot of questions. How do you guys convince the world? People still don't understand what these wallets are. They still don't know they don't know how it works.
Exactly.
They have no idea. So what I'm thinking is, I can't hear someone's talk. What I'm thinking is, how do you take the market that's going to make this thing scale out, where you can maximize the density of the platform and convince them, one, before they even know the value proposition of your platform, that they should have said wallet, in addition to how that wallet works in conjunction to cryptocurrency, and how they can utilize that wallet and connect it to your platform, and then understand the economy inside of your platform. That seems like a 4-step process of education.
Yep. Yeah, and that is the difficulty, and that is what a part of this raise is going to, is like, we want to not eliminate the need to have a wallet, but make that entire onboarding process, at least for like the quote unquote normie, make it easier for them. So like just pull out a credit card and be able to use that within the website. So right now, the current process, it is like, transparently, it's somewhat of a nightmare. You come to Haste Arcade, and the first thing we tell you to do is to go download this wallet, which takes you off of our website to something you've never seen before that's asking you for a payment. It's like, what is this? Like, I'm out, right? And we see that, right? So there's roughly like 15,000 accounts. About 3,000 have actually taken that step of creating a wallet. And I would bet that most of them came from BSV and already had this wallet. Whereas what we've built out and what we're waiting on, like a credit card processor to approve, is what I just described, where you can come to the arcade now. You can literally just purchase like Haste credits, which you think of those, as if you went to a traditional arcade, you put in $5, you get $5 worth of tokens that you go and spend on these games. Same concept. If you want to actually extrapolate your winnings, though, then you would download a wallet. So there's an incentive at that point to get this wallet. But if I don't win anything, I'm not being forced to download that wallet. It's only if I've won something. Now it makes sense. Like, okay, I have $10 sitting in this wallet. All I have to do is download it. That's where we want to get to. So right now it's, you have to download this wallet ahead of time. What we're moving to is you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can come, you can play the games for free. If you like them and you want to actually compete to earn, you can then just purchase Haste credits right there within the site.
What's the wallet that you guys are, and I'm going somewhere with this. This is the first part. This is the first of several questions I have. What's the wallet that you guys are suggesting to the community? When they come
right now, it's called Hand Cash.
Got it. I'm familiar. Okay. Now, explain to me your distribution strategy as far as your go-to-market. How do you really, because what I'm attempting to extrapolate is, how do you get the people that's already on Reddit, that's already on Snapchat, that's already inside of Live.me, that's already on KOKO over in Korea, how do you really get them to know that you have the de facto platform for them to play the game? So when it's time for them to download a wallet, assuming that they haven't had one already, it's not even a thought because they're blown away by the experience itself. How do you tap into the server side of things to the serverless world? How do you pull the people from the server world to the serverless world, if you will? Because these people already exist in these communities. And what I find when I talk to the founders, they skip the process of understanding the distribution, where they can save a lot of capital just tapping into the distribution of the platforms that already exist. What's your thinking around that?
So there's two approaches we've taken, and it's funny that Taylor's on this call. Taylor is a quote unquote strategic advisor to an esports company called Built by Gamers, right? So they previously would have a bunch of streamers who would play Fortnite, they would play Call of Duty, whatever on Twitch, and they have these followings. And you have these streamers whose followings like have trust within them. Well, what we've done with them, and this is just on a small scale, tested a couple things, but we've basically taken their streamers and said, hey, let's run a tournament, right before you go and sign on and start playing Fortnite for the 2 or 3 minutes where, you're getting all set up, host a tournament within the Haste Arcade. Go and suggest it to your followers. Hey, go and play this tournament. You can interact directly with me. So it's a little bit more engagement from the streamer to the fan. And by the way, if you make a leaderboard, you're actually going to earn, money from everybody else that's playing. Well, we did a couple of tournaments with them. And what we saw was, when they would typically, I don't want to say shill, but if they were promoting a product, they would get about an 8 to 10% conversion rate. The several tournaments we ran with them, we were getting 40% of all the people that were watching these streamers to actually go and download a wallet, put money on it, and then play in these games. So that's the avenue that we want to get much better at. And we haven't found a lot of esports partners that have been willing to work with us. We have one other one other than BBG. But the other side of it is just traditional marketing, right? Like paid advertisements on Google, paid advertisements on Facebook, paid advertisements on Instagram. And we've been running these campaigns for probably 8 or so months at this point. Small scale, spending about $1,500 a month, targeting some people who have an interest in crypto, targeting other people who have interest in just casual games. And this is like basically the numbers. So for a traditional...
Just mute your mic really quick so we won't get the feedback. Is this game a game whereby if I can watch it equivalent to that of Twitch, I can watch someone actually compete in a game? And the reason I'm asking a question and why I anchored this part of my question to the first, because you can literally tap into the distribution of Instagram. Imagine saying, hey, let me pay an influencer $10,000 to promote, like what Switch Beats and Timberland did with Versus. They literally built a multi-million-dollar business from Instagram Live. And this is the part where I say, it's one thing that we have to understand when we're talking about building businesses with each other. The thing I like about us all being from different cultures is we can take the best from each one, but it seems weird when people don't understand how to tap into Black people, where we actually control culture around the whole world. So there's this saying from my buddy Tristan Walker: global culture is driven by American culture, and American culture is driven by Black culture. And I added to that, Black culture is driven by hip hop culture. So it wasn't shocking to me when Swiss Beats and Timberland did that. I said, oh, this thing is going to be $100 million, like that. And that's exactly what happened. Triller came in and gave them so much money from just one little thing that they did in Instagram Live. They didn't have to build any software. They didn't have to actually promote the app. Now, it's a bit short-sighted for me to make it sound as if it was that easy, because this is still Swiss Beats and Timberland, and they still have access to all of the biggest artists in the world. But I can imagine you guys doing that. If I didn't know you and I seen Desi Banks on Instagram saying some funny stuff with HaHa Davis, like, man, what you doing? I'm about to watch this game go live. Get on live right now. And I go inside the live. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I just came in here because of HaHa Davis and Desi Banks. And now I see in the caption at the bottom of the live, make money by watching this, but you have to download this wallet. And then you can send people. It's not really about having them in the live and stand there. You want to funnel them to the live, by which they're just watching what's happening inside of your platform anyhow. And then it's two things that they're interested in. One, where's this content coming from? Okay, cool. It's this particular arcade platform. Two, how do I get involved? And they see the link at the bottom, it's the wallet. And now you get them the wallet by virtue of the experience, not a Facebook ad, not a Twitter ad, because no, people want to experience something first, and they're going to buy into it immediately after that. In addition to that, Snapchat has Snapchat Minis. Did you guys consider making a filter for your arcade and placing your filter inside of Snapchat, utilizing the centralized community to get people to the decentralized? Because I can imagine a world when I look inside of Snapchat Minis, I'm like, okay, what's this arcade thing here? What's this leaderboard little image over everyone's head? Why are people posting these numbers every week? What is this? And then I see like, oh, you can get this filter by joining the community. But in order to join the community, you also have to actually sign up for this wallet, because otherwise we can't pay you when you make money. So when I talk about the distribution, it's so many ways that exist in the centralized world where you guys will spend little to no money to actually get people not only on the platform. In addition to that, you can get them tied into your economy, thereby downloading the wallet without having to think twice. And those are just some rough ideas without me sitting with you for hours and thinking of.
No, I mean that that is it. That is like the strategy. That is the best way to go to market. Like, you absolutely nailed that.
Yeah.
So hey, if you want to put us in touch with like Timberland and Swiss Beats, like I'm ready. No, but on a serious note, like that is what I think the esports organizations offer, right? You've got the streamers who already have the followings, they trust the people that they're watching, and that's just something that we need to be more aggressive on. We've done it on a small scale, haven't done it on a big scale yet, but that would actually lead me to the next question. Is the reason we haven't gone full bore on that is like we feel like the onboarding right now is something where a quote unquote normie is going to have a hurdle. Like, they're going to see this whole wallet concept and it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of shady. So we felt that building out a much easier onboarding portion or perspective is the way to do it before trying to really target these people. Because with these esports companies that we have done trial campaigns with, that was the feedback we got. It was like, where did your viewers get held up? And they were just like, oh, we don't want to download a wallet. That was what it came down to for the most part. So it's like, from your perspective, part of me thinks that's an excuse. Part of me thinks that's valid because it has been somewhat validated from, the trial campaigns that we've run. So what would you think?
So it's not an excuse. You're correct. You're just looking at the facts based on the data you've received. I would say this: have you all considered doing what you're doing now, streaming the games themselves live on web, where people can just jump inside? And they have to go through a process. They have to give their name and they have to sign up before they get inside. Because I'm thinking about placing a wallet to the back and letting them see the content first and actually see how the platform works. And then you can say, hey guys, you have to sign up for the platform to be involved in addition to getting a wallet. But the other thing is, have you all considered a rewards program where you're going to give people some Bitcoin for joining?
So yes, and in two capacities. Like, we do have, if you sign up and create an account, right? You don't have to get a wallet yet. You don't have to spend any money. Just for creating an account, you can enroll in like the free roll, where basically you play, you're going to have a chance to win a portion of $100 every single month, right? That's what new users do as part of the onboarding. We're going to be changing that, getting a little bit more aggressive with it. But the other side of that would be you do have an incentive to play whether you make a leaderboard or not. Like we have a token that this isn't something that we ICO'd, like we don't go out and sell it, but it's basically the same concept as if I went to a traditional arcade, I play, skee ball or whatever, I get tickets back after playing that game. I can redeem those tickets at the prize board for a stuffed animal, a remote control car, or whatever. Well, our token works basically the same way, but you can redeem it for Bitcoin or for, NFTs that are in our marketplace that are typically game collectibles. So that would be like a skin you could trade out on one game for another, right? So we have that in two different capacities. There is definitely a Bitcoin incentive and a monetary incentive to go ahead and sign up. But I mean, this is just something that huge oversight on our part when we first started this. When you think about hyper casual games, typically, you're not having to create an account, right? Like if I'm going to addictedgames.com, I can just go and play these things. I don't have to sign up for anything. Like I'm just in and I'm playing. We made it a little bit difficult for users, whereas like they do have to create an account before they can even like see what the game looks like. And that's something that we're changing, where it's like you can come and you can play for free now without creating an account. But in our original, rollout of this, it was like, yeah, we demand that you create an account with us because we wanted at least your email address, even if you're going to play for free. Which, just thinking back to it, it's just like, if it's Call of Duty, sure, like that's a game that I'm going to play hundreds and thousands of times. If it's Flappy Birds, no, like it's a hyper casual game, right? Like I'm here to play it for 10 seconds at a time, and then I'm getting off my subway and I'm going to work, right? So that is something that that we probably oversighted when we first developed the platform, but that we're rolling back and then mixing it with those incentives that you had talked about. You get a chance to win something for free, and then every time you play, you're earning these tokens.
What if you guys? Okay, so I take it that this platform currently lives on the web. There is no app to this yet.
Correct. Web app. Yep.
Okay. What if you guys have a wallet inside of the platform? Give me the name of the platform again.
It's called Haste Arcade.
Haste Arcade. Great. So what if you guys have the Haste wallet? Now, this wallet is just really a database on the platform. That's a marketing term. So in the profile, you have the Haste wallet. Say, hey, sign on now. You get 100 Haste, if you will. When they sign on, they get the Haste, but they're eventually, based on contribution and time on platform, they can convert the Haste over to Bitcoin eventually. And what's happening is, what you say, for instance, you guys raised $200,000 and you owe $20,000 in payout for Bitcoin, so you have to convert it over. The user doesn't know that that $100 is really just invisible. It's nothing they can touch, but psychologically they can see it. And your wallet is not a Bitcoin wallet. Your wallet is just the custodian place for their Haste on your platform. And you're going to say, hey, in order for us to give you your Bitcoin, you have to connect one of these wallets. So when you get some time, you need to connect the wallet, and then they connect the wallet. And when you raise the capital, you can start releasing the capital. Okay, it's not a real time, but we do love that they are contributing. Let's start paying out some of these individuals. Let's take a portion of this capital. Maybe you can say it's a part of SG&A or your marketing costs, and start buying the Bitcoin so that we can transfer the Haste over to the actual new wallet.
That is what we are building. Like that is what basically has been built as the second version. Like we took the learnings from, the headaches of getting people to try to download a wallet, and we have converted it into what you are describing.
Yeah, if you'd have met me 2 months ago, you guys would have had it. I like it, man. So what are you trying to raise? What's the number?
We're in a $2 million round. We got 1.1 committed, 800 of it's in the bank. And yeah, we're looking to close out this last basically $900,000.
Is the 800,000 in escrow until you guys close the rest of the money?
No, that's in the bank. We've been spending it already as part of the marketing strategy that we have for all this new onboarding stuff.
Yeah, let Des, you guys connect with me. You guys have my LinkedIn. I'm interested in this. Des can get us connected.
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
Certainly.
You sold it to me, Joe.
Much appreciated. Hey, you understand the vision. Like that's rare to find.
We can't hear you, Lloyd. If you were trying to speak, Lloyd, we couldn't hear you. You were on mute. You're still on mute, Lloyd. You're still on mute,
Lloyd.
Sorry. I was just saying, good work, Joe. Good work. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, like, one of the hard things is when you're trying to build a game or even just an app, there's a lot of pushback on why do I need to put this on Web3? And so, I wanted to see what kind of experiences you guys had about that. Like what pushback you had where people were telling you like, no, it doesn't need to be on the blockchain.
Yeah, phrase that again.
I think she was just basically like, why build this on Web3, right? Is that?
Yeah. So when I'm working on this blockchain game, I have a lot of people that will say, hey, I don't see a reason why you should be putting this on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to explain like how really, special it is with having these, this data that's immutable. You can't change it, but a lot of people don't care about it, until you actually show it to them. And so that's the hard part for me to get that across.
For us, and I apologize if I'm cutting in if anybody else wanted to answer, but it was simple for us. Like, blockchain as a peer-to-peer cash is really the only place where our type of model could exist. Like, I would challenge anybody right now to go find a website where they can spend less than $1, right? Go buy something for 50 cents online. You can't really do that because of the credit card processing fees, right? You have interchange. Interchange has basically like a set fixed cost, which is going to be between 15 and 22 cents. And then you're going to have a percentage of that transaction, anywhere from like 1.59 to 3%. But if you're selling a 50-cent good and you know that at least 22 cents is going to the processing fees, like your margins are already, you're done. You don't have a business there. Whereas because blockchain, when we can transact for fractions of a cent, like it basically makes anyone now able to sell something for any price on the internet. And that's what attracted myself and Dan to Bitcoin to begin with, was like, we have another company that's in the service industry. We started this in 2015. And we had to learn about credit card payments. We had to learn about interchange rates and why like bar owners are so crazy about getting a 2.5% rate versus 2.6. Like over the course of $1 million, that's a lot of money that they're saving. If they're saving, 0.1%, let alone 2 full percents, like that's an amazing amount of money. So when we learned about this Bitcoin thing back then, it was like, wow, you can transact this for a fraction of a cent. This is a major, major deal considering like how much credit card companies are charging these businesses. So we started paying attention to it, and it's just like, okay, what could you actually do now? You don't have to worry about this fixed cost, and you don't have to worry about this 2 or 3% per transaction. It's just like, man, you can create whole new business models where I can sell goods now for less than $1 online. And, in the United States, I give this example a lot. It doesn't mean a lot to us here in the US, but when you think about other countries, third world countries, people that haven't had the ability to sell things online because the fees are just too high. Like if I'm only making $3 to $5 a week, paying a 20-cent fee on every transaction, that's a shit ton of money to me. Whereas now you can start commercing for less than a fraction of a cent. You can start selling goods for less than $1 a piece. So like, Ray, to your example, right? You have NFTs. Like for us, we have these game collectibles. We have a game called Lost. It's a spaceship game. Maybe I want to go buy a different spaceship. You can sell that for 25 cents now. So now you're empowering like the individual creator who might not want to play the game at all, but like, oh, I like drawing spaceships. Well, guess what? I can release a collection of 50 different spaceships, charge 25 cents for each one of them, and now I just made a couple dollars, $10 or whatever. Sure, in the United States, that's not a big deal, but outside of that, that is a big deal. That's 2 times what some people are making in a week. So like when you ask us why blockchain, it's literally because of the power of micropayments. Like that's what's attractive about it to me. That's what's been attractive about it for a long time. It just allows more people to start selling things, and it opens up more commerce on the internet for goods that previously it wouldn't make sense to do that. And the last example I'll give, on our Take It platform, there was a collection called Color Changing Trees, which a 12-year-old drew these things out. They're like these little pixelated trees. I thought they looked really cool. They're like super simple and basic. Everyone else thinks they're kind of funny. But the original bidding price was like 2 cents. And some of these things got bid all the way up to like $20. You couldn't do that anywhere else. Like that is what blockchain enables. That's what at least BSV is the only one we've seen that's capable of doing this stuff. That's why I think it's so fascinating. And that's why like we don't have a choice. We have to build on it if that's the type of business model that we're interested in.
Yeah, Joe, I agree. I think I'm just to echo what you're saying there. Without, I know in our platform, where we're doing augmented reality, and we want to do, support things like scavenger hunts, where, there's a lot of little activities that are happening, right? And being able to transfer value quickly at scale, right? If we've got 100 different or 1,000 different scavenger hunts running at one time, if we as a company were trying to run this from our servers, right, we would have to, scale up a bunch of servers, spin up a bunch of servers, do a bunch of different things. But by being able to program it in script on the blockchain, a lot of that is alleviated, and that cost is, for me as the system admin, that's what I live for. I live for going after $1, $2 costs, fees for system versus thousands of dollars, right? So that a lot of people don't understand that because they're not system admin. And I can understand why, they would ask these questions, because to them, it's just like, oh, well, you can just do it this way. Well, yeah, you could do it that way. But if you wanted to do it that way 1,000 times or 100,000 times, in a minute, right, there's a big cost involved with that. So
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yep.
So here's Chris is here. He's the CTO of the tech company that I run that I was referring to. He programs in over 19 programming languages. I've dubbed him the Michael Jordan of programming. He's mined Bitcoin. He does front end and back end. Dude can literally hack a bank if he wanted to. So our current platform that I was speaking about.
Oh, Lloyd, you got a challenger.
Challenge accepted.
We have over 3.5 million lines of code in our current platform, and he did it all himself. And again, that's the front end and the back end. And my wife is here as well. She is the Chief Ecosystem and Strategy Officer at the tech company, but she's also a partner in my firm, M&D Ventures. She's the M in the M&D Ventures. This is Maya. So that's Maya and Chris.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, Des. Hi, Diddy. I saw your post.
Thank you. Good. Really, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for joining us. Really nice of you. So everybody is talking games and things. So I'm just keeping the audience updated with what's going on. And if anybody's got any questions, we'll chuck them to you as well. So
question to Joe and Robin. And Robin, we haven't heard you yet, so we're interested in definitely hearing you give your spill on this whole ordeal. Let us know if Joe is blowing smoke up our ass or not. Call him out. Call him out for us.
Joe is here because I brought him to the table.
Okay.
First of all,
so you spoke.
I've spoken at blockchain and Bitcoin conferences around the globe for a very long time. I've hosted my own. This is the world outside of my executive recruiting career.
Robin, talking to your microphone.
Freaking hate this audio issue. I have been in the Bitcoin blockchain world for quite a long time, since at least 2017, 2018. I've spoken at conferences around the globe and had my own conferences that headlined with huge names like Brock Pierce and Jeremy Gardner. And I was actually, Lloyd and I are working on a project in Miami, and one of the guys said Robin single-handedly created Miami Blockchain Week. And it was super cool that he said that, because I don't think that people realize that, but I really did single-handedly create Miami Blockchain Week, which later kind of got taken over by other things. But I was one of the core people that helped create the Miami Blockchain Hub. And we are by far one of the top 3 blockchain hubs in the world. In 2019, there was an article in the paper. I'm going to go sideways for a second. There was an article in the local paper, and this is a crazy freaking article. And I'm reading it, and it's like this guy in my county died. And when he died, his dad got an email from some guy in London, and he said, no matter what you do, don't lose his hard drives. He's one of the 3 people that helped me create Bitcoin, and I'll help you recover the amount of that Bitcoin will be worth someday. Well, the dad was 97 years old. So the brother takes over the communications with this guy, and he basically blackmails him, really is what it comes down to. So, but this set me in this rabbit hole of research, and I started doing all this research because I'm like, who's this guy that's claiming to be Satoshi, right? I went down this crazy rabbit hole of research, and I literally like furiously researched like 14, 16 hours a day, I don't know, for 3 or 4 weeks, and I started sitting in on the trials. The point of this is that I'm not trying to preach or convince anybody, but by my own very deep due diligence, I was like, holy shit, this guy's Satoshi. There's no question. He's Satoshi. If X equals Y, then we're going to have Z. And sure enough, it always added up, and it was always Occam's razor. So in 2019, I became a diehard BSV fan. I believe that BSV is the only real Bitcoin and that Craig Wright is Satoshi. But again, I'm not here to convince you guys. I'm just telling you my journey. Since then, I've become part of the Women at BSV, the broadcast that you're currently on. And I've met a lot of the core builders in the ecosystem and the people. Like, one of the things I try to do is I bring people to the table that I think are building the most innovative shit, regardless of, I don't care what coin you believe in and what blockchain and whatever, like who's building the most innovative shit. And this is what I did when I went to these conferences. I didn't go and pitch a product or a service like most people did. I figured out who the smartest players in the room were, who was building meaningful shit instead of crypto kitty shit, sorry, but whatever. I'm fluff, right? And then I put those people in an inner circle that I've kept in touch with. But the reason I went to that whole long story is that people like Joe, people like X-Man, who we've referenced several times, Xiaowei Liu, who created something called Script. It's the most brilliant language in Bitcoin. Like, these people I try and bring to the table, and I try and showcase their work because they're doing really cool shit. Like, Joe hasn't said this yet, but Haste Arcade is one of the top companies in the world that is putting the most transactions on chain of any blockchain anywhere ever in existence since the inception of Bitcoin in 14 years, right? So he may talk one language, but I can tell you that 100% his company is putting more transactions on chain than almost any other company out there. They are doing, and it was a side company. It wasn't even there like, oh, let's go start this company and let's do this one thing and let's go get $5 million of funding and no, they have a different business that is their core, or he does. I believe some of his partners are on that too, right? And this was like a side thing, like, oh, it'd be really cool if we did this. And then it fucking blew up and it was fucking awesome, right? So anyways, that was a long tangent, but the reason I love Joe is that they're doing cool shit. It's meaningful stuff. I would love to help them get visibility and help them get funded and help them guide, if you can guide them, if anybody can help guide them. This is kind of why I'm in this whole space to begin with. So there's mine.
That's awesome. So Joe, question, Joe. You may have to mute because there's feedback. So Joe, just on one question, you spoke a lot about the blockchain and the efficacy of the blockchain regarding the platform, and Lloyd kind of touched on it as well. I want to understand exactly how cryptocurrency fit into this whole ecosystem, because both of those things don't have to exist. So what are you all positioning yourself as? The de facto platform where the efficiency is because of the build out of the blockchain, but we also are going to build this economy based on the trade of cryptocurrency or crypto tokens for that matter. So that's the first question. Somebody else may need to mute because I can hear some feedback. I think that's you, T38, and maybe yours. So that's the first question. Just the symbiotic relationship of the blockchain and crypto, whether it's cryptocurrencies or crypto tokens on your platform. The second one is the corporate governance. I didn't ask that question. So my wife and I, we have a part of MNDB, which is MND Ventures. We have MNDB Crypto. So we have a fund specifically that invests in blockchain and crypto-based companies. And we want to eventually compete against A16Z crypto. That's our goal. We don't want them coming to Silicon Beach in LA and trying to take over, because that's what they're attempting to do. So how's the corporate governance? Do you guys have a DAO structured, or is it a traditional corporation whereby investors are able to invest in that corporation? So again, just to recap, the crypto and the blockchain side of the question, how does that work on the platform? And then a little bit about the corporate governance as to how it works for people to make investments.
Sure. So for the first question, what you're saying is true. You could do this concept where we would just host like our own server and database, where it's like, hey, we can show that within your account, you just earn this much, whatever you want to call it. The difference, the reason why we use the blockchain is because we don't, number one, want to be a custodian of funds. And number two, like when someone's actually getting paid out, it's in real time. There is no, I have to log into my Haste account, go to my account, and then withdraw funds. No, it's instant. And that's what we originally called instant leaderboard payouts. Is like, if Taylor was playing a game that I was on the leaderboard on, when he hits play now, I would get like a little notification on my phone from Handcash saying, ping, you just earned 0.002, USDs. So you can't do that. Like if you're just running this with fiat, they would have to create an account with us. We would have to hold on to those funds. They would have to withdraw those funds if they actually wanted to take their winnings out. Whereas with the blockchain, with hand cash, the wallet that we're using, right? Like they're seeing it in real time. There is no waiting period. So that is why, we want to use the blockchain. Now, in terms of scaling, like I think that's probably actually hindered us a little bit. I think it would be easier to get mainstream normie adoption if you didn't have that extra step, which is what we're going to make available. So you'll have your hardcore crypto people who understand wallets, who get it, who are like, yeah, I want this now. Like it's mine. I want to be in control of my money. But then for the people that don't, like they'll have that option too, where like, yeah, if you want to log into Haste and you want to withdraw and wait 24 hours to see that money show up, sure, you'll be able to do that too. When we started it, we were more of like, we love Bitcoin. Like we want this to be as Bitcoin as possible. But the market tells us that not everyone's there yet. Not everyone's ready for that type of like ownership of their own funds yet. So I think that answers the first question. The second question, it's an incorporation. It's corporation, S corp. So typical traditional investments, like the round right now is a SAFE. It's just for equity. We don't have a DAO. We're not doing token sales. We're not giving investors tokens or anything like that. The tokens in our ecosystem are literally just what gamers get rewarded, same as if you went to an arcade, played the game, got the tickets, you cash them out for a stuffed animal. That's it.
So it may be ideal because I can see some pushback. I was talking to a lot of people inside of we started in the crypto really, really early. Chris and myself, I didn't know Chris at the time, but I learned when I met Chris, because I've been knowing Chris now for probably about 9 years. I learned when I met Chris that he started out really early. He was mining Bitcoin early on. So and then we experienced the ICO phase. I think in the future they're going to have like the ICO crash, like the .com crash, because shit was just crazy for the initial coin offerings. And now we're at a stage where it's going towards stability. The fact of the matter is the metaverse is going to be here to stay. Crypto is going to be here to stay. Crypto tokens are going to be the de facto here to stay. Fiat is not that stable. The banks just do a good job of marketing to people to make them believe it is. We just see what happened to SVB and Lehman Brothers back in 2008. In addition to that, only about 3% of currency is physically transacted. 97% of currency is digitally transacted. That's fiat as well. So it's really going to be on the education from the community, but that's one thing. What I'm interested in understanding is how can you structure it in a way where your corporate governance match and reflect that of the psychology of the decentralized environment? Because now, taking a traditional investment strategy, that's kind of on the centralized side in people's mind, although technically it isn't. But I can understand because I've heard that pushback. Oh, but you got it as a corporation. These investors, they're not really aligned with how the whole blockchain thing works. We can't see the cap table. We don't really know who owns what. We don't know if it's Class B shares, Class A shares. That's decentralized shit. That's the language that they actually utilize. I'm thinking it's a possibility whereby you can parse off a portion of the ownership for the community itself inside of an SPV, which can be connected to a DAO, and then you won't have to go out and bust your brains on raising the capital because the community is going to want to invest in the platform that they're helping grow as well. And that's something that my wife and I can talk to you all about offline. Okay, I'm going on mute.
No, I agree with you. And to be honest, like this is, I'm going to try to articulate this properly. I personally don't think that in the very near-term future, like traditional venture capital is going to be necessary in the Web3 space. I think that because of tokens, because of even NFT sales, like it really does empower the creator, where you can finance yourself now without having to go through these traditional funding, mechanisms. But I don't think we're quite there yet. And like from our perspective, at least, like my team, we have 9 people right now. I would say about half of us are actual like Bitcoin. We understand it. We love it. Like we want the world to get to a Bitcoin world for various reasons. The other half, they just think it's a cool project. They really like the concept and they like being in gaming. And like it's just whether they go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole or not is not really relevant to the success of the company to them. So it's like this juggling act where, what type of company do you want to be? And for us right now, at least, it feels like we're going to have to take the traditional Web 2 route, or we're going to have to go through the traditional funding mechanisms. But I don't think that that's going to be the norm once more people start actually building on Bitcoin. I think once people start building on Bitcoin and realizing that, I can do my own token, And I'm not promising anyone that they're going to make money from this token, but they'll be able to use my token within my ecosystem once my product's built. It's basically like crowdfunding, right? But just with more utility. And that's what I want to see it get to. But like I said, like with this particular company, I don't think that's the type of structure that we would be able to do.
Joe, what are some example models that you think that might be in the future that would look like that?
So I'll use Dan, like my business partner. Our background, we were baseball players. We played in the White Sox organization until about 2015, and we just hit it off and decided to keep in touch after and started our first company. He has since learned how to program. Like, he can code himself now. And him and I'll just talk about crazy shit late in the morning, just, would it be cool if we could do this? And then I'll wake up the next day. He's like, dude, I went and I built this. Like, I couldn't go to sleep last night. I had to build this thing. The most recent example would be this thing called getpaper.io, which Dan just went off and built. It's basically the notion of you can post an essay, right, and charge someone a penny or 5 cents, or, you as the creator can set the price. If they want to read it, they can go ahead and pay that small amount and read it. And the example that we give is well, how many times have I, gotten sent a New York Times article where I'll read the first paragraph and I'll start scrolling down. And it's to continue reading, you got to sign up $14.99 a month. It's I'm over that. I don't want to do that. No, I want to read one article. I'll gladly pay 10 cents or 25 cents to read that one article, but I'm not going to give you my information in this big ass subscription to just read this one thing. Well, if we actually wanted to turn getpaper.io into a big company instead of just this little, late night project, they're hey, let's put out a paper token, right? Let's get this funded. Let's go raise $10,000 or $100,000 in a paper token. And guess what? If you purchase these tokens, now instead of paying the 10 cents that it costs to upload your content, you'll just use this token. So you upload the token or you pay with the token, and boom, you can now upload whatever content you want. So that would be one example I could see, Des, to your question of how that would potentially work. But there's a lot of other things, right? Like creators wanting to do art collections. I'm not an artist whatsoever, but I've been able to submit, it wasn't very good. It didn't do very well, but it was 20, just stupid little JPEGs on this NFT platform. And I sold them each for 50 cents. Guess what? I made $10. I went to the bar that night and I had a beer for free. That's Bitcoin. That is Bitcoin to me. That's what you should be able to do. It empowers anyone to be a creator. And so when I think about these companies in the future and how they're going to be funded, I don't see the need for, huge teams and hundreds of employees raising hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think you need to do that anymore. I think there will still be some room for that. But I think for the most part, the individual creator, what they're passionate about, they'll be able to fund that through micropayments and take it to the levels that they want to. And some of it will turn out to be huge, but it doesn't have to be anymore. So I don't know, Des, if that totally answers your question, but that was the best example.
That's a good example.
So, Joe, there's a little comment from T38, and he says, just make sure that you talk about asset layer integration and how integrations are unlocked by blockchain.
So I'm not the technical one of the group, so I don't want to mess this up at all. But yeah, Asset Layer is an NFT platform. Basically, they allow us to mint these NFTs within the arcade. So I'll break it down. The arcade has a marketplace where we sell game collectibles, and it's one of the ways that we generate revenue. So on every single gameplay, we're getting, an output from that gameplay cost. But something that makes good money is, like I said, you're playing this Lost game and you have this spaceship. Well, we can create, 20 different spaceships. Maybe I want the Millennium Falcon or an X-Wing. We can't actually have those because Star Wars has crazy trademark laws. But that general concept, you can now go and purchase these. And so we use this company called Asset Layer. They're basically the ones who are enabling those NFTs to move around in our platform and be created within the platform itself. So that's just, you want to talk about the interoperability of Bitcoin. That's what I think, another major benefit of it is being able to, for example, Asset Layer, they also own a game called Duro Dogs, right? So Duro Dogs is hosted on their own platform. You have this dog, you can equip it with NFTs, so like a hat or glasses or a chain or whatever, but then you can actually use that dog within a game that they've put in Haste Arcade called Rough Runner. And so your dog, with all of its assets and all of its NFTs, is now going to be available within the arcade in this one specific game. And that's all enabled by asset layer. So Taylor, you probably could even explain that way better than I could, but that's my general understanding. I know that we use
let me just restate it a little, just higher level. And the reason I brought this up is when he asked you kind of why cryptocurrency, why blockchain. And I think from my perspective, one of the real things that's unlocked by kind of the public ledger is the integration across things, so that, just imagine the case where Call of Duty, your skin on your gun is an NFT on the blockchain. That means that it can be integrated into other games too, other platforms, or you go to the store and buy a certain can of Coke, and that can of Coke enables you to have some kind of thing in a game. The whole point is, with public ledger, public blockchain, you've got this interoperability across all these different things. It doesn't even have to be games. It can be, rewards points translate into things. It just, that's kind of the real, one of the magical things I think unlocked by blockchain that you couldn't do otherwise without this public ledger. Anyways, that's what I was getting at there.
That's really interesting what you're saying, T38. That's how I actually got into the whole entire blockchain space, was not through crypto tokens or crypto coins. It was through the transportation industry. So I'm 34 years old. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and I come from the world of management consulting for the government, the federal government. And I spent over a decade in that space and digital technology transformation, specifically infrastructure. And I went to the Department of Transportation, and they're working on lots of projects where you have to utilize the blockchain, because they're trying to solve this problem about transportation and authenticating vehicles, specifically emergency vehicles like ambulances, police cars, as they're transitioning from different networks and going across stoplights. So they're saying, okay, if we are able to know that an ambulance is coming down the road, we want to clear all the lights so that they're green for them. How do we do that, and how do we authenticate that through different networks? And that's where the blockchain would be the quickest way, so they don't have to keep going through that authentication. And that was my entry point into blockchain. And then I was a day trader, so I traded stocks, and then I got into trading the coins. So it's been pretty cool. I work with my husband. Our CTO is on stage here. When we met, he was on this journey of creating this amazing company with this amazing brand, many brands within the company. And I kind of put my companies on hold because I said he has something really, really going on great with the technology and the infrastructure that he had already built. So this is really cool. I think I met Des in person on this stage, and I'm interested to hear more about some of these conversations around cryptography and the blockchain and everything else we have going on.
She also got, like, she's the second largest shareholder. She's a board member, and she's a C-level executive. So it wasn't just the company was cool, ladies and gentlemen. She negotiated her stay.
This seems like a very, very casual conversation, but I'm sure I can tell you a lot more.
She negotiated her stay. But yeah, so she's already introduced herself. We're going to head out shortly, but we want to stay in touch with everyone else. Chris is going to briefly introduce himself, so you all can just know who they are. We all know Desmond. I'm going to probably see Des in a few hours as well, and I definitely had a great time talking to you. I didn't realize this room was going to be so exciting. We talk so much and we talk all the time. Pretty impressive what you all are doing, Joe. So I'm definitely interested in learning more about it. Chris, are you here? Are you available to speak? Your mic is muted, Chris. It's like Zoom and Clubhouse.
Yes. You all hear me now? Do you all hear my wonderful voice now?
There's a feedback,
Yes,
Chris.
sir.
Are you connected to your
We hear a terrible echo, though.
All right, hold on. Am I audible now?
Yes, that's better. That's better, Chris.
All right, nice meeting you all. I'm Christopher Presley, software engineer. I've been working in the industry for about 19 years. I studied advanced placement in high school. I met Duran as I worked as a consultant for another company. I did projects for Fortune 100 companies, traveling between Europe and America and various other locations on major contracts. I worked in enterprise resource planning systems that I built from the ground up, many of which are currently in use by Fiat Industrial and other companies, of which I'm not legally permitted to name. When I met Duran, I utilized an away office at Panera Bread in Michigan. It's the equivalent of Starbucks and other locations. And he was just very curious, as the individual he is, and he noticed that I had a lot of code on my screen, and he asked me for my attention with his idea. And that was the very beginning. In regards to my understanding of labs, he had already labored at least 8 to 10 years in just studying and immersing himself in his own studies in order to ensure that it had the highest level of foundation for the company. He brought me along to build the technology. And it's just been a wonderful journey ever since. I've been working with him. And I am one of the top shareholders in the company. And I am the sole builder of all of our technology. I program in over 19 languages. When I met him, it was 15. I'm always actively involved in learning and advancing my skill set. And I have experience in all major platforms. So
Chris,
that's what
before Chris is probably coding now. If he flips his screen, he probably has some code on now. Yeah, as I suspected. Yeah. So he's literally,
I love it.
yeah, he's literally coding. So Chris,
Yeah, how
before
dare you
go,
say screen? There's multiple screens, obviously.
yeah, he has about 6. I have about 8 of them as well. My wife has about 6 to 7. Yeah. So Chris, before you head out, talk about how you've been integrating your skill set with ChatGPT, given the fact that this is this. Oh, I'm a prompt engineer. America's always going to market things, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the new reference for engineering with ChatGPT. But I found it interesting how Chris has been utilizing ChatGPT, given the fact that Chris is a very broad software developer. Chris, can you chat about that really quickly?
Yes, it's all about your knowledge. For example, ChatGPT is versed in all knowledge in regards to programming. And based on the way that you structure the prompt, you can lead it to research other information and structure it to provide it you with the details. For example, C++ and C are 2 languages in which I program in addition to x86 and ARM assembly language. And I was doing some research in regards to a memory editor program. And it is a software system in which you can scan memory addresses and you can change the values. And for those who are familiar, all of our memory addresses on our devices are stored in hexadecimal address locations, and they all have an associated value. Those are what your actual variables are computed into when your program is compiled or interpreted. And you can modify those variables that can affect the program's actions and behaviors. And I was just doing some testing because memory editing is a very powerful tool set that you can utilize to test data and also to intrude into various systems. And if you can describe how you want the algorithm to function at every juncture of the entire process, then ChatGPT is able to give you all the source code for it. It's also able to scan websites with vulnerabilities if you provide the appropriate instructions within the prompt. It's all about how well you can describe your process. So if you're a really good programmer like myself, then you are able to provide details in the format in which ChatGPT is able to structure some of the most complex software applications that are necessary for you to employ at your disposal. But if you're just a person that's intermediate or new or a novice to program, you don't really understand the concepts, you don't understand the software development lifecycle, you don't understand object-oriented programming and all the other aspects that are necessary to design a highly valuable system, then it's junk in and junk out. You put in bad instructions, you don't put in instructions that are detailed enough, you will get code that is not detailed or instruction-based. So
and we tell people all the time that it's not AGI yet. It's ANI. It's artificial neural intelligence. So a lot of people are approaching ChatGPT as if we evolved to artificial general intelligence. And obviously, Chris is really bullish on us eventually getting to ASI, artificial super intelligence, and that's the AI that everyone's afraid of. But Diddy, Ray, T38, Lloyd, Robin, and Joe, and especially Des, thanks for allowing us to come inside of here. You can reach Maya and Chris as well, chrispresley.com, mayaedavis.com. It directs directly to their LinkedIn. We found that's the quickest way to get people to our LinkedIn is utilizing our domain names, then redirecting them to the LinkedIn. And we'll be around. Let's do this again.
Is this a reoccurring show?
It can be.
What was the
I don't know if you guys randomly came together or just this is a group that comes together often.
So Maya, we've ran this group. It's the Women of BSV. We're debating rebranding as Women of Bitcoin or Women of Blockchain to keep it more inclusive to everybody. But Diddy and another woman, Ruth, co-founded this almost 2 years ago. Diddy, we've had over 170.
Yeah, June 2021. So been going since then. So it's I'm in the UK, so it's like 4:00 in the morning at the moment.
Oh God.
But it's
So
really
I put
thank you
my
so much for coming though, because this conversation
we'll have more of
has
these
been
conversations, and like we
absolutely
start a whole series based on certain concepts, or whether it's women in Web3, whether it's showcasing latest developments, whether it's talking about a huge issue right now is funding. If it's just even giving advice about how do you get funding, what are investors looking for, like anything that would be educational and inspirational to the marketplace is what we tend to broadcast.
So
So
you
I
guys
put my
can do.
URL in the chat. It redirects to my LinkedIn. So send me a message so I know.
Listen,
Absolutely.
you guys can do Women of Thoughts, and then
I like that.
Women of Thoughts colon Women of
But
Thoughts
like
on
you thought.
Bitcoin, Women of Thoughts on Bitcoin, Women of Thoughts on finance, Women of Thoughts on style, Women of
Sure.
Thoughts on art.
Yeah.
So you can extend
So
it.
this particular series is called Block Talks, by the way. We just launched this
I like
series,
that.
and this is the second one, and it's Block Talks. But yeah, we certainly, there's lots of brands, lots of different directions we could go to. But at the end of the day, it's advocating, educating, inspiring, and making sure that it's inclusive to everybody for the conversation, so that we can really like expand people's minds and consciousness, and really the development, right? What can we actually accomplish?
So
yeah,
Dan, let's
really to
text
know
me.
what was happening. Sorry.
So text me, Des, and we'll get together in a few hours. I'm gonna head
Thanks
out
for
now.
joining us, you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, everybody. Until next
It was
time.
nice. It was nice
Hey,
talking
Chris.
to everyone.
Hey, Chris. I got one language. You ready for your 20th language?
What is it?
I'm gonna need you to learn S script. It's a high level language for Bitcoin script.
Is it compiled or interpreted?
Oh, Duran,
It's a compiled language.
Right there.
I'll
oriented?
do you know the Bitcoin script language?
Yes, I know it.
Okay. So it's a higher level language for that. It's a little easier to work with than the functional language of Bitcoin script. So that one you have to get that one on your radar. That'll be number 20.
All right.
Nice.
Well, they're all very much similar to
Connect with Lloyd, Chris. Lloyd, connect with his LinkedIn is Chris Presley, PRESLEY, ChrisPresley.com.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm gonna find you, Chris. I'm a hacker just like you. We gonna be best friends in a minute.
CTO talk.
Do you know Russ? Do you know Russ?
Yeah, I just started learning Rust about a year and a half ago. Yep.
Yeah, I like Rust a lot. It's pretty cool.
Me too. I'm digging it. I'm digging it more and more, especially now with ChatGPT doing most of the work now.
Hey, Lloyd, right. Don't let Chris become your friend more than I want to become your friend. Don't forget about me here.
I got enough love to go around for everybody. Ain't that right, Des? I got enough love for everybody. That's how we roll.
Thanks, everybody.
Love.
All right, see you guys later.
All right,
see ya.
See ya.
Finally take questions from the audience before we wrap.
I'm not sure.
I mean, you guys can talk as long as you want, but I feel like we've offered questions and interactions.
Yeah, well, I would just like to say thank you very much for everybody for coming, and this has been like a highly educational and really exciting conversation, to be honest with you. So I'm really appreciate everybody coming and joining us in our little studio tonight. So I just want to say thank you to all of you as well. So
Giddy, thank you for trooping it out. 4:15 in the morning.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I got insomnia, you know.
So yeah, you and Robin put a lot of work into setting us up.
Well, this is Robin actually. Tonight is mainly Robin. She just said, "Are you available?" I said, "I'm going to the theatre. Just been to see a phenomenal South African dance troupe who choreographer won loads of awards. Absolutely beautiful dance ensemble called The Sacrifice, and yeah, so I just stayed up basically for you after the theatre show. So I love the theatre. I will put that in there again. I love the theatre. So if there's any way that you could integrate VR and theatre and Shakespeare and the Globe, then let me know, because I really want to see the Globe, Shakespeare's Globe, with VR actors as an educational kind of thing for history and heritage and just acting in general. And because I'm a big Shakespeare freak, I love that sort of stuff. So if anybody wants to take that up and try and develop something along those lines, then please let me know.
That's a good idea.
That's pretty cool.
I keep pitching it to people. I think it'd be cool. Yeah, and I like the education side. So this is all about trying to basically teach people and show people what's out there and just get them interested. So it's really cool that you've all joined us. Thank you. But any questions? There aren't any in the chat box, in the comments box at the moment. But if anybody's got any questions, fire away.
I'm just trying to make sure I connect with everyone on LinkedIn here. I think if you're on here, Ray's the only one Ray and Diddy, I don't think we've connected. But anyways, Des and Lloyd, you'll see my name's Taylor on there. So make sure you accept my invite so we can be friends for real life.
Copy that.
Conversation
I can't
about
hear you, Robin.
Damn it, I hate this thing. Okay, so your conversation about the Citadel and Citadel of the West. I don't know if you guys have followed this, but you kind of had to really be paying attention to see it because there hasn't been like a central effort. It was all kind of organic. There was a Citadel. There is a Citadel in India that Rohan opened with some other folks, and there is a Citadel. Where's the other Citadel? India.
I know about the India one. Florida.
No, it's Poland. Is Poland calling themselves a Citadel? There's a Poland Blockchain Association. There's another Citadel. Oh no, the guys Emilio and Randy that run New York City and BSV group, and they also were opening a Citadel in Portugal. So like it's definitely like kind of been taking off. And so they're all very grassroots efforts, but like I love the idea that like different people are creating these Citadels, and I don't love the name. I don't love the name at all. But certainly the more that we can glue together some of the smartest people, like the reason I fell in love with the idea when Kurt came was because if we can bring in the smartest engineers, the smartest developers, the smartest entrepreneurs, and we can really sit down and have these kind of think tanks, which I think Joe can attest, that's what's happened in Delray is in Florida, is we have Zach and Luke, and we have Lou, that's how we meet Lloyd, right? He came to our meetup and then he came to the Citadel. Like you have these just really smart minds that are really focused on, and visionaries, I'm going to go so far as to say visionaries that are focused on what can we actually really build, and then they hack together and I'm really big on hackathons too, because then they just hack together like these really smart apps. So I hate the name Citadel personally. The Citadel moved from Chicago to South Florida, and they've been all over the headlines and trending on Twitter for weeks and weeks and weeks for their fraud and their scandals. So I don't like the name Citadel, but I love the idea of these think tanks where we can move around and we can have. Ooh, I don't know where that feedback came from.
Real quick, there is an alternative name that I'm going to use for the West, Citadel of the West. I'm going to still call it Citadel of the West, but it's Joe. What do we call it? BSV or
BSV Grove.
Yeah, we're making a Bohemian Grove.
We were going to do an entire event for Bohemian Grove in Miami. I'm down with that. I am down with that.
Yeah, because sometime in the next 12 months. There's going to be a group of us that are going to go camping and make the BSV Grove, so.
I'm in.
Des, don't look at me like that. It's not like that.
I catch fish. I fillet fish.
It's going to be fun. We're not going to share sleeping bags. Don't worry.
You can fillet a fish?
Yes.
Or clean a fish? Whoa,
yes.
I want to see that.
All of it.
Nah, I just envision a fireside chat, like around a fire. And then,
Ghost stories.
Yeah, ghost stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one time at band camp with Craig.
So, Diddy, Ray, I don't know if you guys are going to keep going, but I've been standing up this whole time, and I've got to go to a.
Yeah, but is it 4 a.m. your time? It's not 4 a.m. your time, so shut up.
It's early still. It's 9, but I have to get up super early and go to 5 soccer games in the morning. So,
that's right.
I'm gonna roll out, but I had a great time. Des,
gonna walk
Lloyd,
out.
I really hope we can be friends. Over, I mean, Des is on the West Coast, right?
No, I'm not on the West Coast.
He's only in LA for
Oh.
this week.
Right.
Oh, screw that. Okay, well, you're an honorary member of the West Coast, Lloyd. I'll see you. I'll see you, Lloyd, when I go to the Florida Citadel. But yeah, we'll hang.
Awesome.
And then,
awesome.
Ray, we'll do business together.
Yeah, it's nice. See, finally talking to you in person. Or not really in person, but online.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on your Starlink.
Yeah,
Starlink did well.
Starlink did well tonight, so that's good.
That's
All right.
cool.
I'm gonna
right.
bail out. We'll talk to you
Peace
guys later.
out. Nice to see you, T38.
Thank you.
Let's call it a wrap. Diddy has been amazingly gracious to stay with us. Does anybody have any final comments? Anything they want to add in, or shall we just wrap?
I think I'm good. But yeah,
It's a wrap.
Great.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. We're all good then. Let's all say goodbye if it's a wrap. Goodbye, and thank you for joining us.